June 20th meeting of the Carter County Commission is now in session. I respectfully request everyone in the courtroom to please turn off your cell phones at this time. Also, commissioners, please do not use your phone for texting during the meeting. It can be very distracting. Please remain focused on the issues at hand. Commissioners, if you wish to speak at any time during the meeting, please stand and wait to be recognized by the chair. Only one person will be recognized to speak at any given time. All discussion must pertain to the motion that is under consideration. Going off on irrelevant topics is not in order and will not be allowed. Thorough debate of the issues is always encouraged. However, personal attacks will not be tolerated. A professional decorum must be maintained throughout the proceedings. During the commissioners' comments, motions to adjourn will not be recognized until the chair is satisfied that all commissioners that wish to speak have been recognized. Also, Mr. L.C. Tester called me a little earlier today. He underwent a procedure today, and that has prevented him from being here. So please keep him in your thoughts and prayers. Mr. Gary Smith, if you would please come forth and present the egress plan, emergency egress plan.
Good evening. I know it looks nice in here, but nobody's going to want to get up and leave in a hurry. In the event that we need to get out of the room quickly, our evacuation route is the south of the building, and we'll assemble in a rear parking lot. The alternate evacuation route is a stairwell across from the elevator. And again, we would assemble in a parking lot on this side to allow the emergency vehicles to make entry. There is an AED located downstairs next to the elevator. And last but certainly not least, restrooms are located on the north end of the building, which is up here on the first and second floor.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. We appreciate that. Madam Clerk, would you proceed with the roll call, please? We are not responsive. Mr. Grindstaff is not present. Mr. Tester is not. Ms. Collins. Okay. Just a little bit of practice, right? With that, we have a quorum. This time, I would entertain a motion to accept the agenda as submitted. Motion made by Mr. Lyons. Is there a second by Mr. Holdren? Any discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, proceed with the vote. Well, it's just 1 minute. All those in favor of accepting the agenda, respond with aye. Those opposed, nay. Aye. Need to push the button, please. We're getting there. It's been a while. Okay. Reveal the vote, please. Motion passes. This time, if you would please stand for the opening prayer. Mr. Willie Campbell will lead us in that prayer. Please remain standing for the pledge to the flag. Mr. Von Cannon will lead us in that.
Dear Heavenly Father God, bow our heads today, Lord, give you honor and praise for this day that you've given us, Lord. Lord, you give us another chance to put our feet to the floor and take another breath. God, we thank you for your Son, Jesus Christ, Lord, who died on an old rugged cross that we could have life one day eternal to be with you. Lord, today we do pray, Lord, for the ones that are sick, Lord, within this body of commissioners tonight, Lord, that you be with them. Lord, we give you the praise and honor, Lord, for everything that's said and done. Lord, how we pray for our country, God, and our state officials and our county officials, Lord, all will come together in one accord and one mind, Lord. Lord, that we can work together, God, and solve these problems with you. Lord, we pray tonight, Lord, that you use each one of us to be a blessing to you and a blessing to someone down life's road, God. We ask these things in your precious and holy name. Amen.
Amen.
Attention, salute, pledge. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
At this time, all of the elected and appointed officials that are with us this evening, if you'd please stand to be recognized. Thank you. We also have another special guest in the audience tonight, Miss Kayla Carter. Miss Kayla, thank you for being with us tonight. I think that I may be corrected on this, but she's the one individual that's hiked the entire Appalachian Trail. Is there anyone else in here that needs that same recognition? Mr. Ward.
Okay, a lot of talk about Carter County Park, in our finance management meeting the other day. There was talking about us not going to the Carter County Park and meeting and being part of that anymore, according to one of our disciples. And the biggest thing is, we do need to be on the Carter County Park board. And the reason for it, there's projects still out there that we're working on. Carter County has an interest in workforce development. We are currently putting the roof on. We need to have our presence there to make sure these projects are finished. Along with that 6-year lease, we need representation. You guys chose to put me on that board, and I do get paid $50 a month, but in the future, I plan on staying on that board and giving the $50 back. So we'll be doing this, or I'll be doing this for free. We do need representation from Carter County Parks Board. Thank you.
Ms. Culler.
Pretty much the same thing. I was elected by the commission to be part of the Carter County Park Board, and that I feel going forward not receive pay for attending those meetings, but I will continue to represent Carter County Commission.
Thank you. Public comments. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to address the commission during public comments? Anyone in the audience? Mr. Livingston? You'll have 5 minutes, sir.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Got 2 or 3 items here to go over. I think in the last meeting, we had a raise in the insurance. I believe the entire commission voted on $99,000 to keep the insurance that they had through Carter Shield. Another company offered to do it for the same amount of money that the past month. Then we come up, after you guys voted for all of this, and approved it full commission, we come up minus meeting, and it's moved to $245,000. Now that's quite a jump.
Can I comment on that one?
And
Just to clarify, Roy, the $99,000 was just the difference between the 2 companies. That wasn't the total increase. There was also a large increase with the other company, and that's why the total increase was almost $250,000. So there was a increase with the other company as well. the 99, which is the difference between the two.
Okay. All right, appreciate that. Thank you for correcting. But anyway, they said the difference in the money from the 99,000 to 240,000, the penny this year brought in 82,000 and something. So the difference in it, the money and the difference in the raise of the penny would wash the rest of this money. And I'm not just exactly sure what wash means. It means to me laundry or something, but I don't understand the whole thing. Wash means laundry. But anyway, here's the thing, Mr. Ward was talking about Carter County tomorrow. We supposed to have an elevator, the taxpayer gave them a contract for it, and they, in the contract, they're supposed to put an elevator put in on. To this date, there is no elevator. I talked to the attorney for the Carter County tomorrow at the city council meeting here a while back, and he said, if it wasn't for the lawsuits, that I'd put it in tomorrow. So we got the money, and he said, we've had the money, but they've never done it. So what's the problem? Why ain't somebody staying on about this and kind of make people understand why they've not done this? They've got the money, it's in their contract to do it, nothing's happened. So somebody looks to me like needs to be checking into this. And also, the raises. It's my understanding that Mr. Hill went around to all the office holders and stuff and was talking to them about the raises, said the raises in 10 years. So evidently he didn't do a whole lot of research, because we've got a memo right here from Andrew DeLoach in 212 that they got a 2% raise across the board. This is in the minutes and in the memo. So what's the difference? Somebody didn't do enough research or something to understand what they're talking about. So, you know, based on some of this, it appears that it's untruths through all this thing. It looks like the whole budget's going to be set up on untruths, and you're going to vote on it and approve it, and don't know the whole truth. And to begin with, raises, the way I understand it, the office holders have sole power to hire and fire whoever they want and put raises in their budget. You don't do it, but this commission has no authority over these office holders. But yet, some of them get raises in these offices, and then the mayor's office attempts to give a raise for a job well done. And you've got a few here that that's all they want to do is just destroy anything that he's got anything to do with. Look around here, he fixed all this courtroom, he's done all this stuff, all the seats, this thing that fell down around us here when he comes. And that's his job. He's over all the buildings in this entire county. That's part of his job description. But nobody gives him credit for it. I don't think you understand what his job description is. But these raises and stuff, you have no authority over them. And here's the thing about it. They give the school system paraprofessionals a raise. They have no authority. You don't have no authority over that school system. That's their job. They hire and fire whoever they want to. They give raises to whoever they want to. You're getting into territory that you have no authority over. The way I understand the paperwork, you know, you just need to do some research and stuff and just don't.
Mr. Livingston, your time's up, sir.
Okay, thank you, sir. Really
Thank you.
appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Is there anyone else that would like to address the commission under public comments? Mr. Ward.
Yes, first of all, I'd like to say thank you for the consideration. I know it's something that's in the budget, it has to be voted on. I don't think that's going to happen today. I think it's probably in July. The consideration for putting our county paraprofessionals into the budget. I just wanted to thank you for the consideration. It is something where, if you go back several years ago, our employees, the only way our employees get a raise or has ever gotten a raise is by the support of the funding body. And that's why, you know, it's in order to do a raise, it has to be something that you can sustain within your budget. we take a fund balance, and I've explained this on several occasions, but it is temporary money. That's like your savings account at your house. If you're doing something with your savings that you have at home, and you're using it on a monthly basis to pay a fixed expense, once that savings is gone, you still got that fixed expense. Then comes the harder budget decisions. What do you cut now to keep this raise? I guess best example, what do you cut to sustain it? So in order for our people who, we have salaries that start around $10,000, some part-time or even less. 3% is not a lot of money, but to these people that make $10,000, $11,000, 3% is a great start, and is something, and it gives them something to let them know that not only does the school system appreciate their service, but the county, the governing body, the funding body appreciates it. I'd just like to say thank you for having it in the budget, and something for you to consider as you move into July business week. Just do your final approval. Thank you very much on behalf of the verifications. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Ward.
Can I touch on the raises real quick, just so everybody's kind of
Yes.
clear? So just to touch on Mr. Livingston's comment, it's true, officials are in charge of their budgets. As long as it's within their budget, we can't tell them, you pay this person that and you pay this person this. It's within their budget. However, if they don't have that money in their salary line, they can't give raises. So that's where they do need to come to you and get that funding to give their employees a raise. If they don't have it in their budget, they can't give their employees a raise. Now, we can't tell them, Sheriff, you have to pay Chief Harris this, and you have to pay Captain Smith this. But if we don't give him the money to give his employees a raise, there's no way he can do that. And that's where that comes to you all.
Is there anyone else that would like to address under public comment? Sheriff?
I didn't mean to drag you into it.
No, you did. On behalf of the Sheriff's Office, what Mr. Ward said, I greatly appreciate your consideration for 3% raise, and they have not received one in 10 years. They have not received a raise in 10 years. Very much appreciate it. Very much appreciate the hard work y'all did going forward, trying to get this accomplished. Thank you.
Anyone else under public comment? Seeing none, we'll bring this portion of the meeting to a close. Mr. Hill, sir.
Just a point of clarification, Mr. Livingston said that I asked, went around asking about county raises and county employees, which is incorrect. I did survey as many county employees as I could find regarding whether it would hardship them in any significant way or create any kind of problems if we forced upon them a change in healthcare carrier. Because I'm fairly sure that if I surveyed county employees regarding whether or not they wanted a raise, they would all have said yes. That would have been a unanimous. But I was not the only one that, and I looked at this just as due diligence, by the way, sir. I was not the only one that went and asked the county employees where they stood on the insurance question, which I think is valid. Our obligation is to take care of the people that take care of you all, in addition to taking care of you, the voters. But Mr. McQueen up here spent quite a bit of time interviewing county employees about the insurance change, as did Dr. Acock and Mr. Ward, in addition to myself. And I think that we were just being diligent. And so, just a point of clarification. But I do appreciate you noticing that we didn't go and talk to people. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, sir. Normally we don't do this, it's a little bit out of order, but Mr. Livingston, you made a statement that the county employees received a raise in 2012. Do you have documentation to support that? Could you bring it up here, sir? Just for a point of clarification, Mr. Hill.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Loach. These minutes to match it. Right here's the minutes and stuff that matches it.
We'll be voting for it.
Bear with me just 1 minute, folks. Can we distribute this to the commission?
You sure can.
We'll start it with Mr. Carroll and just pass it around. Mr. Livingston has documented proof of what he's saying.
Is that all you need?
That's it, sir. Thank you. Okay. We've closed public comment?
Can I just make a quick comment
Uh,
about the documentation?
Yes.
That's not the school system.
Okay.
That's correct. That was for county employees only who had been here at least a year at the time it was approved.
Not that it matters one way or the other, but since there's question as to whether or not what he's saying is valid, he's got proof, documentation, and the commissioners need to see that because I know I can see the expression on a lot of the faces that they did. But nonetheless, let's move on. We've closed public comments. Also, there are a number of documents on your table in front of you. Again, because of time, these were not in a situation we had not received them to where we could put them in your packet. The one thing that I'd like to bring to your attention is the interlocal agreement to establish a joint economic community development board. County attorney just advanced that to me this week. If you'll note there, Mr. Clayton Stout, Mayor of Johnson City, signed, and now we have a board in place. We will convene as early in July as possible a meeting of that board, and we've worked for quite some time, a year plus, almost 2 now, to get to this level, to create a JECDB. Now, that's just part of our efforts. Each and every one of us, as elected officials, have a fiduciary duty to advance economic and community development where possible. We've taken an approach over the past decade. We realize now that we need to take a new approach. We've done that, the first step, with the creation of this board, so that we'll be able to certify applications for certain grants through Economic Community Development, State of Tennessee. Tonight we have with us Mr. Mitch Miller, who is the CEO of Washington County Economic Development Council, and Mr. Burns with Convergent. They're here to give a presentation as to a proposed regional economic partnership. So Mr. Miller, if you would, Mr. Burns.
Mayor, thank you. Commissioners, thank you for the opportunity to be here tonight to speak with you. Looking back, well, before I get into it, again, I am Mitch Miller, CEO of the Washington County Economic Development Council. With me, Wayne Burns.
I'm Wayne Burns. I am the project director for Convergent Nonprofit Solutions out of Atlanta, Georgia.
So, looking back to about 2 years ago this month, initial conversation began with members of my Economic Development Council board in Washington County. And we started with a simple conversation inviting Mayor Humphreys, inviting Jerome Kitchen, City Manager Elizabethans, also inviting folks around the table from Carter County tomorrow, Richard Tester, Sam Report, Dale Fair, to the table to talk about communication and collaboration. At the end of the day, really what we discussed was looking at opportunities that we can collaborate and work better together. To speak more in a unified voice, but just to see if there was an opportunity there to bring Carter County, Unicoi County, and Washington County together today. So, big picture of it all, the federal government designates different areas throughout the U.S. as metropolitan statistical areas. The Johnson City MSA consists of Carter, Unicoi, and Washington County. So in our efforts to try to attract new jobs, new investment for our community, site selectors on the outside typically start at the MSA level. So when they're looking at making an investment or representing a company who's looking to make a significant investment, they start there, and if they see that there's not a regional effort, if there's not communication, and they've got to reach out to multiple people, whether it be 5 folks that represent different portions, all of a sudden, we begin to really get marked off the list. So, in an effort to really try to piece the attributes that we have together as communities, we want to really pursue this effort, and again, that started 2 years ago. Through that time, I understand there has been some transitions and conversations as it relates to the 1101. We backed away from some of those conversations and ultimately tried to let those play themselves out. As things are starting to progress here in the community, we wanted to re-energize and re-bring the conversation back to the table. So in January of this year, we hired a consultant group to do a feasibility study. And that's where Wayne really comes into the picture. And with that, Wayne came in over a period of that month and met with 60 individuals, both on the public sector and private sector side, and really started to talk about a vision of regional economic development, looking at a strategy plan that involves working with existing companies, looking at new business recruitment, marketing attraction, looking at asset development, which involves tourism components as well, but really looking at what were our strong suits and how we could work better together. I want to ask Wayne to kind of describe that process, because that ultimately led to where we are today, where he's been on the ground for about a month now, looking at the regional market.
So to expand on what Mitch was just sharing, Convergent Nonprofit Solutions does about 30 of these types of projects with either existing or newly forming public-private partnerships for economic development around the country. We do this simultaneously. There's another 25 to 30 folks just like myself that are working with communities across the U.S. This is the best practices trend. This is what's going on. This is what's creating a very highly competitive environment for getting jobs, getting companies to move here, doing capital investment. I did meet with 60 individuals across all 3 counties, both public and private sector. And we produced a report for the Washington County Economic Development Board. And that report basically detailed the questions that we asked. It was roughly about 27 questions. They dealt with macroeconomic issues. They also dealt with issues concerning specifically each county, including Carter County, and the economics within the county. We also asked what the appetite was on both the public and private side for a partnership. 98% of respondents were for a regional partnership, and that included elected officials, city or county managers, and private sector individuals. I met with a number of corporations where I actually did meet with the CEO. I also met with a number of high-level vice presidents where the CEO is not locally present. So 98% said we need to move forward with a partnership. As Mitch was saying, additionally, the outside world looks at this area as a metropolitan statistical area. And their job, when they look at 128 metropolitan statistical areas, is to scale down 2 or 3 or 4 options for their clients. They could be an internal real estate site selector or external. But what they're trying to do is just get a few locations that are easy to deal with, where they believe there's an opportunity to bring that client to that area and be able to find what they're looking for, whether it's an office building, a piece of property to redevelop, or some other opportunity. So typically what happens is if you're viewed as difficult to work with only for no other reason than you have 3 counties that are part of one MSA, which requires 3 phone calls or more, then that's too much work for them, just the way it is, and you get crossed off the list. Standard practice in business. So from that report, we presented that to the council in the month of March. And the board, the Washington County Economic Development Council board, asked for a month to review and then asked us to come back in April. And in April, they contracted us to come in and start this work. And as we started the work and working with Mitch and his board, we started to realize there may need to be a new course of action in order to make a true partnership and build that partnership so that Carter County, along with the other 2 counties, had an equal seat at the table. And I'll let Mitch share a little bit more about that.
So as Wayne discussed, it was vitally important after talking with folks on Carter County and the Antioch County side. It was evident. It was pretty foolish of us to come to a county government or a city government and ask you all to invest in Washington County. You know, at the end of the day, we have to be equals in this process, not so much from a financial standpoint of contribution. Obviously, Washington County, Johnson City will be more heavily invested from a contribution standpoint. But as far as representation sitting around the table, you all have this in front of you. What we talked about doing is establishing a new 501c6 nonprofit board that would have equal representation from the 3 counties sitting at that table. So it's not 5 seats in Johnson City, 2 seats in Carter County. No, it's equal across the board, and then mixing that in with private sector investment. We think that's vitally important because at the end of the day, the workplace sees no boundaries. I understand that each of you have constituents that you have to reach out to and you have to talk to about what are you doing in Carter County. But at the end of the day, Summers Taylors may be right here in Carter County, but a lot of those folks live in Johnson City and come here to work every day. It matters across the board where things happen because as a region, we're a lot stronger when you've got commerce. When at the end of the day, economies are regional. You know, those are things that we have to stress and have to understand. I know that I've had the opportunity to speak with some of you directly for this meeting also. You know, this is something that is vitally important as we look at presenting ourselves with one voice and one message to the outside world. This is the way this works in Roanoke. This is the way this works in Chattanooga. These folks are working on a regional level. And so that's why we want to approach it this way, that there's equal representation. Along with that, the private sector will be investing in this as well. I'll relate this a little bit to the Economic Development Council in Washington County. Back in 2009, they were in a position where they had 3 economic development agencies. They all had their own offices, they all had their own copy machine, their own phone system. You know, at the end of the day, it was pretty ineffective. Bringing those together was really led by the private sector. In Johnson City, Washington County, and Jonesboro saw the opportunity and saw that's what the private sector wanted. And bringing that together, ultimately now, in 2016, we've got a very effective staff. We have a very effective programs. We want to implement this on a regional level. Just from that time frame, and it takes time, guys, it really does. But just from that alone, we've seen over $200 million in new investment in Washington County. We've seen over 2,000 jobs created in Washington County. We've helped existing companies expand. Honestly, we've depleted our inventory of large-scale buildings, which is a good and a bad thing. But that's the opportunity we see in Carter and in Unicoi County. Madison property, Morgan Insulation property. Those are assets that we want to save. We want to bring jobs here because we know we're all going to benefit from it. So what we're proposing and what we're really looking at, what we've asked Wayne to be part of and helping us from a consultant standpoint is help us with that vision. What we've started to do is draft a strategic plan. And what we're going to do in theory is basically bring that to the table when we want to have each of the governmental bodies at the table to be part of that. Now that requires a financial investment, and that's something that we're going to ask from you tonight. But with that, we'll also have large-scale private sector businesses that create jobs here, that invest here, that are going to be part of helping us direct that vision, and ultimately looking at the attributes we have and having the input on what matters to Carter County, what matters to Elizabeth, what matters to Johnson City, what matters to Washington County and beyond. We need Carter County at the table. This is vitally important, and you can probably tell that I'm very passionate about it. This area has so much opportunity.
I just want to talk a little bit about your competition. So recognizing that Research Triangle is a unique place, and certainly if you're competing with in or around Metro Atlanta, that's a different type of competition. But I just got this a week ago. This is brand new. Just pulled this up to show it to you. This is one of your competitors. The name of the group is called Kindle. So let's kind of hold this around. And I only have one of these, otherwise I'll be glad we got some copies, but I just got this in my hands. So Kindle is the Kentucky Network for Development, Leadership, and Engagement. And it's 4 very rural counties in Kentucky that have gotten together to form a regional partnership. They got together in 2011. And since then, and I'll just read right out of this, our original 2011 goal of attracting $150 million in capital investment was successful. We actually raised $224 million in invested capital that we could have never raised if we went it alone. Additionally, those 43 businesses hired and retained 2,106 jobs because of the partnership. Our baseline goal, which was already aggressive, was 2,000. 4 rural counties in Kentucky that chose to pull together, create a joint marketing strategy, create a joint marketing plan, form an MSA, get up on site selective radars, and start to attract companies to the area. This is one of hundreds of competitors just in the southeast and eastern U.S. that you have that you're up against. And each one of those competitors that has formed a partnership has created something that was stronger than it was when they were going it alone. Part of the reason for that is, and I'll share with you a couple of budget numbers and things important. Mr. Miller mentioned budgets. So this very small rural area carved out a $3 million budget. And just for aggressive, what they call, I'm reading their words, aggressive marketing to targeted prospects and site selectors, $1.35 million is their marketing plan. So as a group, they can pull that together. They're not just doing it through the government, they're also doing it by bringing private sector in. But that's a pretty good sized budget. No one of those counties, nor would any business in any of those counties want to do this alone, but together they can do it. So that's just a little bit of a taste of the kind of things that Carter County and this region are competing against every day. And an awful lot of amazing things can happen as this region pulls together, meets the MSA requirement, and starts to market jointly the assets that you have, all of your natural assets included. Why would people want to live here? Why would people want to bring their company here? There's a lot of reasons. But you may be the best kept secret, and it's time to get that secret out there as part of a regional marketing plan. The private sector has made it clear to Mr. Miller, myself, and his board that they want to get behind a regional plan. The banks don't see county borders, the large international companies don't see county borders, and the local businesses, whether they're construction or otherwise, don't see county borders. I'm not going to bore you with the stats, but if you were curious, I do have the stats of the movement between Carter County, Washington, and Unicoi County and other counties surrounding, movement of employees. How many people come in every day? How many people go out every day? How many people are working here to live somewhere else? How many people go out to work somewhere else to live here in Carter County? The numbers are pretty astounding. You're a region. That's just a fact. You really are. So we're here to talk about this evening and share whatever information you'd like, but we are going to talk about an investment in this regional partnership as well, to invest alongside the other counties, the cities and towns, and the private sector.
I'd be happy to entertain any questions during the commissioners or from the mayor.
Any questions? Mr. Von Cannon.
Mr. Miller, here's the table. We need Carter County at the table. Sir, it's exactly the opposite. We need you at our table. Because at so many times, we have zero land that the county owns, except one piece of land that the Department of Education owns, and I hope they don't sell it. I hope it eventually goes for a consolidated office space for the city and the county school system. That's looking a little far ahead, but it needs to come. But anyway, back to your situation. We have 0 acres of land we own. We have no spec buildings, or no specialty buildings, as you say. Therefore, we need you. This isn't the first time we've done a partnership with Washington, Sullivan County. The Piney Flats Industrial Park, we owned at one time a piece of that park, and it worked out very well. Even though our citizens had to drive a few miles to work, still, it worked out great for Carter County, and it will in the future. I noticed that you just recently picked up some land to go with the 2 Japanese companies that I'd not tell from somewhere in that world. But anyway, that's within 20-some driving miles of Elizabeth. With the roads the way they are today, that's not a situation that's out of Calgary. You really won't work. But we need you. 20-some years ago, I would have fought this tooth and nail because we had things going our way. We had land, we had a spectrum. But today we have nothing. It's a good time for us to get on board. It saves us money that we don't have. Therefore, Commissioners, I hope you're listening, because this is the time. This is the time. And we appreciate the opportunity to say that, and not on your behalf, but in behalf of our county. This is the time to do this.
I appreciate those comments. Thank you. Just touching on that land in the industrial park in Calvert. We own that land as a governmental body in Washington County right now. What we were able to do there is actually partner with the Tennessee Valley Authority, Tennessee Department of Economic and Community Development, and actually secure grant funding to grade those sites and have them pad ready. As far as the Tennessee Economic and Community Development funding, we were one of two Tier 1 counties to actually receive that funding. There's opportunities to make improvements to mass and property. We're looking at land in Carter County. At the end of the day, I think it's vitally important that Washington, Unicoi, and Carter look at ways they can invest together, so it's not all on the county commission's back to focus on economic development on our own.
Mr. Miller.
We've been here for 2 years. We're finally getting out of a mess. Carter County tomorrow. Why do we want to jump into something else that we can't deal with? 6 months down the road, we're gonna be fighting this group, same as we did in Carter County Market. There's no jobs coming to Carter County unless we create our jobs in our own county. You fellas, good. You've got the railway in Washington County, you've got the railway in Unicorn County. We've got no railway. Oh, we got red lights, driving some hot red lights. Carter County is not gonna get no industry, man, I'm telling you. If I jump out of the car in the hot skillet, because you're gonna get burned. And that hot skillet, same as you are in the car.
Anyone? Mr. Lewis?
Since Carter County sold their interest in, that place over on Washington County, industrial park, I'm on average 1 or 2 times a week. There've been about 15 new industries go in over there since Carter County commissioners decided to sell the land out of there. And I asked Mr. Elliott one time, why did we do this? He said it was the dumbest thing we ever done. And I actually did on it. So at one time we had a place that we could depend on to give a people jobs. Now we don't. Unless something else develops with these people.
Is there anyone else? Mr. McQueen?
Yeah, just a couple. First of all, thank you for being here. Mr. Burns, I appreciate your work on completing this opportunity analysis for the Vision 2020. It's impeccable work all through and through. Quite a bit to cover in a short amount of time that I have. A couple sleepless nights anyway. A couple things is, and I talked to Mr. Miller shortly about this, how in-depth will Convergent be in this process moving forward?
Thank you for the question. So our contract with the current council is 10 months. And there's always an option to extend that contract. So I've been here for 1 month of the 10. I'll be in here in this area for 9 more. So our role is primarily to ultimately make sure that the organization gets the funds it needs to operate. But the underlying foundation of that is to help all of you formulate your 5-year strategic plan and to bring together both the public and the private sector around the table. So we'll be very involved in this. We've been involved in crafting this concept. As Mr. Miller pointed out, we recognized very quickly it was vital to pull this entity out of the Washington County 1101 and put it in its own space. And what that does is, in your situation, is it provides an opportunity for Carter County to have an equal seat at the table. So from the get-go, this thing is just getting formed. This is what we're talking about right now. The concept is in place to get it off the ground. So you're there, you're part of the strategic plan. You make sure that everything that Carter County wants to see in terms of elements of the plan is there. And we're going to help to make sure that that's built into the plan with Mr. Miller and his team. So everybody who invests early will basically become the founding board of directors and have equal footing across the board to help formulate the strategy for the region.
Gotcha. So in looking at your org chart, discussing with him, I think it's a little bit confusing, at least on my part. But what you're saying is that no one serves the other. It's a partnership of sorts, where no one reports directly to another, but they all share information.
So here's the structure. This is your board of directors. Picture this as your table. Around the table, you've got Carter County, a seat. You've got Unicorn County, a seat, a 1 seat. You've got Washington County, a 1 seat. Hopefully you have NN. You've got the hospital district. You've got nuclear fuels. You've got Summers Taylor. You've got Burleson Construction. You've got Bank of Tennessee. You've got another bank. You've got some car dealership owners. You've got, keep going. Okay, that's your board. That board then will elect its chair, okay, for the first year. That board will take strategy that Convergent, Mr. Miller's team will put together as a draft to bring to this board and say, here's the draft, folks. What do you all, including Carter County, want to do with this draft plan? So there's an equal voice for everybody. No one has 3 or 4 or 5 seats, which is currently the design. And then once that draft plan is executed, you have a board collectively in charge of one thing. That's this man and the execution by this man and his team. That's what you're in charge of. You've designed it. You said this is what we need. What Carter County needs is included. And it goes to this man and his team to execute on that plan, and the board provides oversight. So you have a full-time, I'll say a full-time and a half at least, employee and a team of people that are equally as dedicated to executing the plan. So there's no one in this boardroom that's in charge of somebody else in the boardroom, but you need a board chair. It's just standard governance. And whatever that rotation is, 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, there'll be rotations of board chairs, and you'll have a vice chair, and a treasurer, and a secretary.
In regards to the 2 seats that were spoken about, how will those initially be set up?
Basically, our thought was, I mean, this is still to be determined, and as if you, an early investor, will help determine that. But initial thought concept was a board seat for the county, and a board seat for your largest city in the county, kind of following the Tennessee 1101 statute. Because your 1101s are designed the same way, right? You've got your county and your largest city that are essentially considered by statute the 1101.
Right, so in operating as an 1101, under the plan that you all have in place, there would be no point in time the board would conflict with allowing the 1101 to operate under normal, for instance, following its annual statutory requirements.
It's a great question. Absolutely, the answer is yes. The 1101 is completely disconnected in terms of statute. It operates under statute. There's no change. It does whatever it needs to do. Each county, by the way, has a different design. It's up to the county how they want that done. It is a collaborative body with this partnership. The partnership has absolutely zero influence over how your county designs your 1101. It sits on the 1101, how it's set up, that's up to you all. This organization has zero to do with that. So each county does its thing, and then this organization moves forward with economic development job position.
Thank you. Mr. Miller, I just wanted to say to you, I've witnessed the work. I've worked with the folks in Washington County as my private company that I work for is headquartered out there, and work that you all have done in downtown Johnson City. And the attitude adjustment that I've been told the city government has actually completely changed. And a lot of the stuff that came in your report of old school thinking of what the city used to be versus where it's going is just phenomenal how much it's turned in the amount of time. So my last question would just be the 6 strategic objectives that you all had highlighted in that plan. How fast can we look at implementation? Because I know those had an annual cost associated with each one.
Well, I think first and foremost, top priority, and this should be for any community, is your existing companies. You need to take care of the folks that are here, employing individuals, and paying large share of taxes. Snap-on, Mapes, those are folks that we need to get out and talk to directly. That's our approach in Washington County today with our program. Number 1 priority is to take care of the folks that are right. Great example, we're considering a very aggressive project right now, the Mulligan Forum, we're looking at expanding. You know, we're up against Bowling Green, Kentucky, we're up against Wise County, Virginia, and we're looking here in Johnson City at an opportunity. Those are really 3 communities they're considering. For the most part, when you're working with site selectors, they're thinking more on Tennessee, Georgia, Virginia, South Carolina, North Carolina scale. You're competing 95 counties in Tennessee, 100 counties in North Carolina. You know, those are folks that you've got to pay attention to. Those are folks that you have to help in developing their workforce and being a true partner. And those are the folks that are also going to be around the table with us. That's part of that problem. Why they're successful at having this regional partnership, because those people not only invested from business practice, they're going to be invested in this organization as well.
If I can expand on Mr. Miller, that's very important. I want to make sure there's clarity. The current investment in the Washington County Economic Development Council, I'll start with the private sector, is moving to the new partnership. So there already is funding in place. Mr. Miller and his team are already doing that work. They're already doing asset development, business retention, as he just described. It's already going on. So he asked how quickly the implementation. It's actually already been in implementation for years. The goal now is to quickly get a decision for Carter County to become part of the partnership and move this forward so that Mr. Miller and the team start immediately looking at not just your building and land, but what are your natural assets and how do we market the area. When we talk marketing the area, I didn't make copies of this for everybody just because it's not ready for prime time, but what we're going to do is put put together a marketing piece, working with your tourism executive, your new tourism executive, and we're going to feature something that talks to all 3 counties. This is just a mock-up. I know it's far away, but you have the Tweetsie Trail, you've got the Nolichucky River, you've got fishing here on the lake in Carter County, you've got Carter's baseball team, you've got big companies like Nuclear Fuels, and breweries, Milligan College, et cetera, are even part of this marketing plan. So time of execution, immediately, as soon as there's a decision, hopefully, by all of you to move forward with the partnership.
Mr. Trivett.
I'd like to ask a question. How much is this going to cost Carter County?
What we're asking Carter County to consider, we're actually, if we're looking at it as the 1101 as the collective, we're hoping to achieve collectively with the county and the cities within the county $100,000 a year total. But that's to be broken down obviously by city and county. We also, I want to share, we respect and recognize that your current economic investment traditionally, at least in your current line item, is $40,000. So we understand that. So we're simply asking for consideration along these lines, but ultimately we want to make sure that it's that you're comfortable in that this isn't an all or nothing request. This is a desire to get Carter County to the table. So within the time frame and within your budget requirements that you have, the idea is to bring you to the table, and then we can talk about future years if you start to see successes. So recognizing that $40,000 line, if you can get that to $50,000, if you're comfortable and willing to allocate that. I also want to share that will be on a relative scale, because we're going to ask Unicoi for the same thing. We're going to ask the cities within Unicoi to be part of that picture as well. And of course, recognizing Johnson City and Washington County are, infinitely larger, their annual investments will be infinitely larger as well.
Mr. Hill.
The first I heard of this, I actually, Mr. Miller, had a conversation on the phone with you about this, was last week in an issue of Business Journal, where the way it read, this already existed, and here this is kind of the first that we're really hearing from real living, breathing people representing the project. I'd really like to see some sort of in-depth workshop where this was the topic of discussion for the whole encounter, because it's kind of a broad stroke to bring in here right off the cuff, and it comes with what seems to be a pretty hefty price tag. What is the composition of the Foundation for Workforce Development here? This box, who makes that up, and where does it, who comes in here?
Mr. Mayor, may I address?
Yes, sir. Go right ahead. Absolutely.
And I'll also ask Mr. Miller to share as well. First, and certainly understand and appreciate your sentiments on this. As Mr. Miller pointed out, a number of people were brought together a couple of years ago to talk about regionalism, including representatives from Carter County and Mar, which at the time seemed like the appropriate body to address, as well as people from Carter County and from Elizabeth. Additionally, as I've heard some of you say here, and we've been hearing, at least at the time I've been here, this is something that's actually been talked about for decades. We've tried more than once before. And so I guess maybe we owe an apology, thinking that maybe all of you have been aware of these kinds of conversations for months, if not years. I'll also say, though, that I'm only on the ground a month, and with respect, I'll share that 100 partnerships across the country have come together with conversations that went across days and months, not extended periods of time, because everybody's out of time. Your competition's ramping up to the tune of millions of dollars, $50,000 investment from Carter County to leverage what is going to be a $5.5 million budget or a $250,000 investment over 5 years is frankly fractional. Rural communities are putting in considerably more than that, as I just read to you from folks over here in Kentucky who are definitely competing against you. So we owe an apology. on the basis that you're feeling like you're first hearing about this for the first time, is we perceived it the wrong way, thinking that you had all been having this discussion for quite some time, and that people who were having the conversations were conveying that to you from 2 or 3 or even longer years ago, including business leaders and others here in the county. So our apologies, but I will say that the reason why we're here now with some urgency is because it's a coincidence, nothing we can do about it. You happen to be going through your budget cycle now. And if your budget cycle were to go all the way through the process and complete without any decision to participate in this regional partnership, then the regional partnership forms and moves forward without a strategy for Carter County revisit next year. So if we sound a little bit urgent and we sound like we're wanting you to think quickly about this, it's really a function of the budget cycle and budget within the calendar year and nothing more. There's no desire to make you move quickly or act quickly. It's really just a function of that. And we're really needing Carter County, which makes up one of the 3 county MSA, to be part of this now. Otherwise, site selectors are back to, okay, I have an MSA with Unicoi in Washington County. I can talk to them. Carter County, what are they part of? And that's, we don't want anybody to get it quagmire. So again, our apologies. Not meaning to move this too quickly forward.
Mr. Burns, also along those lines, I don't know that you owe us an apology, because keep in mind, folks, we've been working 2 years, and have just now got ourselves in a position where we could even consider an EDO. We have been bound by an obligation. A recent memorandum of understanding took care of that obligation, and now and only now are we in a position where we can entertain the EDO, and we've been talking about that for quite some time, Mr. Hill. We had promised regularly that we would bring options to you, but we were not in a position to really entertain them because we didn't have the memorandum of understanding behind us, and we do that now. So this is a discussion that has went on a long time. Some of the commissioners have participated. Mr. Lyons, chairman of the Financial Management Committee, a year ago was able to come on board to sit in on some of these conversations. Mr. Von Cannon, being former economic community development person for the county, was also given that opportunity to sit in. You know, in the years past, we've tried to go it alone. We really have. Even with CCT, we had one person doing economic and community development for this county. Washington County and other EDOs have teams of professionals to market the area. There's no way that any one person can do justice to what needs to be done to promote this area, to get it to be something other than America's best kept secret. We cannot do it on our own, folks. And the approach that they're taking, using the private sector as the funding mechanism, the primary funding, because they recognize that Carter County doesn't have, but as I've told them from day one, what do we have? $40,000. That has never changed. Is that not correct?
That's correct.
That's been our statement all along. At no point in time have we ever committed anything more than that, because that's what we have. We have to live within our means. Can we take $40,000 and put together a professional team? You can't begin to pay the salary. That's about 1/3 of the salary of what we've been paying. City of Elizabethton, Mr. Hartman back there. The City of Elizabethton, based on my conversation, and Mr. Hill, I think you were in that meeting when we talked the budget committee not long ago, Mayor Alexander made it clear that he was on board. He also told me that I could let the commission know at that time there was a 7-0 vote. They realize in the City of Elizabethton that they cannot put together a professional team with the monies that they have to market this area. Again, it takes all of us. It takes each of you working, making contacts, building networks, doing everything that you can to promote every piece of property in this county. It takes the mayor and the mayor's office to work and do that. It takes the City of Elizabethton doing that with their staff, working together, boots on the ground here. And now we have an opportunity to take it to the next level, a professional team. The one thing that's in question here is contract. This commission has been a champion of compliance, and contracts is something that we've really come to know well here in the last 2 years. Mitch, Mr. Burns, what are we talking about as far as having a contract as to what services your organization would provide and the amount of money? When would we be looking at a contract to put before this board so that they could take action on that contract?
So I'm going to address this. So there's a couple of ways to go on this, Mr. Mayor, to answer your question. There is a traditional path because, for one, this is a legal, private 501c6 in the eyes of the IRS, a membership organization. Any governmental body can choose to become a member of that member organization for economic development through a membership. And specifically, you could, if you chose to, I'm not saying you should or should not, do it without a contract per se. The other route to take, and this is also typical, happens a lot, is as a government body, you make a commitment to become part of the partnership with your investment, which means now you're sitting side by side with the other investors and you're crafting the strategic plan, of which that strategic plan and its elements will then become part of, if you choose to have one, your contract for services. But it's important to know that you've committed. It's important to know that you want to be part of that strategy. Then you are part of the strategy. And the services for Carter County and the towns and cities within Carter County then could be, if you like, be designed as a contract for services for your investment in the organization. I'll allow Mr. Miller to expand on that. Those are kind of high-level best practices options. Mr. Miller?
As far as the direct things that we'd be responsible for, again, first and foremost, taking care of our existing companies, being there, communicating with them, talking about establishing a manufacturing association, a lot of support to help those folks and that continue to invest here. Marketing and attraction, really looking how we can sell the different attributes from the counties, really the cities and towns over them. You know, just looking at the natural capital that sits right here in Carter County over Rome Mountain, and talking about ways that we can enhance that. Also looking land, infrastructure, site improvements. As I talked about the 2 Japanese companies that we mentioned in Telford. Looking at land, how we can improve those assets that are sitting on our books today to get people to invest in and get jobs here. And at the end of the day, we're really thinking about how we can work as a regional partnership to collaborate, look at long-range planning together, working better together, ultimately looking at the Tweetsie Trail, for instance, as a small component of this and expanding on that. You know, to see something like that where 2 municipalities will work together for common good that has actually put us on the map. And now to see Carter County looking at to expand this out into Rome Mountain, it's huge, but it can be so much bigger than that. And those are things that can happen when we're all sitting at the table. Issues focused on workforce. Commissioner Hill, I know that was an issue that we talked about directly. I know.
So back to the foundation, what is the composition of that, and then percentage ownership, or how is that structured, the foundation for workforce development?
So the foundation is going to be set up as a 501c3, and with that, we will look at actually bringing partners around the table like AT&T, looking at First Tennessee Development District and some of their initiatives, but also as a component to have an agency that if an individual has land and they want to contribute that land to economic development, they have the platform to be able to do that. And that's what we're looking at, but ultimately looking at how we can address some of these issues, just like we talked about.
Right.
You know,
So that seems like it would be a lot weightier than the other 3 government entities over here on the right side of the T, than the foundation itself. Would that be then a heavier, as opposed to equal representation, would that not turn out to be kind of heavy on the other side of the scale here?
So to answer that question specifically, first, the design reason. Okay, design reason is important. This is very similar to designs that have been set up in other public-private partnerships. So following, again, a best model practice to meet the competitive situation that you're in. The 501c3 is not, first off, is not something that's being asked of Carter County or frankly the other counties to invest in. So your funds nor your services, unless you desire, are going to be delivered by or coming from the 501c3. The specific reason for the 501c3 is to have a broader community reach without specificities within a specific city or county. So from an IRS perspective, broad workforce development, broad talent attraction. It doesn't matter if the talent that is brought here lives in Carter County and works in Washington County, lives in Unicoi County, works in Carter County. It's a broad talent attraction approach. And then as Mr. Miller pointed out, the last piece is if I'm a private individual or a S Corp or an LLC and I want to invest and donate land or building, I can do that. Always advise talking to your CPA, but I could do that traditionally by putting it into a 501c3 and getting a tax benefit as a tax donation. If I'm an individual or an S Corp or a sole proprietor or DBA, and I want to put money into workforce development, talent attraction, or education, 501c3 is another way for me to get a tax benefit by doing that. So that organization is not being, it's part of our request to Carter County. It will have some shared board members who care and are passionate about those topics, but there'll be other board members, both partners and investors in that organization that will operate that organization and its strategy as an adjunct to, but distinctly separate from the board of the partnership.
Commissioner Meehan.
I kind of feel like trying to get a drink of water from a fire hose. And a lot of this is very new. Like, apparently this is somewhat theoretical right now because we're not there in any of these blocks. And then we've heard figures of 100,000 from Carter County. And
That's combined.
That's combined with the cities and 40,000
That's
in Carter County. Combined with the cities within the county. So 40,000 was what we were asking for this year.
which box does that 40,000 go into?
The top box, which is the partnership. The boxes on the left side are your existing ones.
And there's just so many unanswered questions as far as structure, who's involved in these various other boxes, whether this has been presented to Unicoi County yet or not, and where they are. And I'm surprised, Mr. Mayor, you're talking about a contract already. We don't have enough information to even get to the contract point, as far as I'm concerned.
That would give you all the information if you had a contract in front of you, Mr. Meehan. That's what we're asking for.
Like, we gotta pass the bill so we know what's in it. Is that what happened with?
Sorry, Mr. Meehan. Mr. Ward.
I'm going to be trying to be as brief as I can, but the first word we need to talk about is trust. And I heard a statement a while ago that says it takes all of us. But where's all of us been? You know, this has been going on for quite a while behind closed doors, basically, you might want to say. Information's not been brought back to us. We've not been educated. You know, how do we make a decision on a one-time speech? You know, nobody can make a speech they can. You know, you guys have seeked us out individually. Not all of us, but some of us got phone calls to try to persuade us to come aboard. Is that fair to the rest of the commissioners? No. You know, we should have been having workshops for this. We should have known about this 4 or 5 months ago. We should have been studying this. You guys should have come to the table, and the mayor should have brought information to us that he's been hearing along, so we could make it fair vote. But how would we vote for this tonight with just what you guys are telling us? There's so many questions. Foundation. You know, you lately worked around that. And I'm not trying to be you guys. Regional is a great approach, but I think we're premature. 15 years ago, this was tried. It didn't work then because lack of education. You know, to get people to make good, solid decisions takes educating them and having trust. That's something that this board is lacking of right now in this area. We tore down 1101C that we had, whether it was working good or whether it wasn't. We tore it down. Now we got $40,000 carried down saying, hey, we could use this money for this. It sounds like you guys saw that carrot and just walked in here to get it. You know, I don't think you're being fair. I don't think you're playing fair. I don't think our leadership is playing fair. I don't know how to support this at this time. In the future, if you want to set up workshops with us, get us going, explain to us what foundation means, explain to us exactly how many seats is on this board. You know, you say Carter County has a seat, Elizabeth has a seat. But how many private seats are there? Is the private sector will run this? You know, there's a lot of questions. And I believe we deserve the answers for Carter County because Carter County put me in the seat. And I deserve the education to go back and tell them what we are planning to do with their money. Not our money, their money. Thank you for your time.
Commissioner Acuff.
And I agree with everything that has been said. Thank you, Lee, for being here tonight. The regional concept is one that we certainly should move ahead with. I understand it from an MSA perspective. In selling a statistical area versus us going out on our own, there's no way, as the mayor pointed out, that we could take that $40,000 from Carter County tomorrow and invest it appropriately to get the workforces that you all have been working on together through the Washington County Economic Development Group for some time. As Mr. Ward indicated, you know, let's just take one scenario, the Foundation for Workforce Development. Say Mr. Von Cannon decided he wanted to put his large piece of property into this foundation. He gets a tax write-off for it. Then who controls that piece of property? Does the board have any action? Do these folks who are over here part of the 1101 appointees have interaction with how that property is going to be used, how it's going to be divvied up, or is it a foundation decision?
Now,
Yes, sir, absolutely.
so I need to answer that question broadly, not the orders to the wide moment. So what we should have done, I'm going to make my second apology of the night.
If you feel obligated, I don't feel.
Learn as you go.
Whatever.
What we should have done was give me a piece of paper to look like this. Okay? And let me tell you why. Folks, that's all we're talking about tonight. This is going to come before everything. This is the little box at the top of your paper. It says Regional Economic Partnership. What you do with your 1101 and your political or other issues that are around 1101 or Unicoi issues or Washington County's issues, we're only talking one box. It's an MSA. It's a 3-county region. It's marketed to the world. Bring people with millions of dollars, $200 million in the last couple of years here. That's the only box we're talking about. Now, I heard and I understand, I'll say with respect, I understand, we need details. Why are there no details? This is important. It's a brand new corporation that hasn't been formed yet. The lawyer's doing the paperwork to file with the IRS today. You'll get a pending status approval so you can open up a bank account. That's what the corporation is so far. The folks who make the investment decision today, I don't mean on this second, today, now, this week, this month, will help form a strategic plan. There is no detail to give you. Mr. Miller is going to bring forward a draft plan that's built by expert economic developers, just in his team alone, with a collective 40 years in this business. And then with our team, of which there are 30 of us in the field and 6 principal partners, with some of our partners doing this over 25 years, myself doing it about 15, who will help you, will be in the room with representatives from Carter County and Elizabeth and to form the plan. So we don't have details to give you. The idea is to get you in to helping to form the plan and whoever you choose to represent that person. In terms of how many board seats, the answer is the same. We don't know yet. I've seen boards that have 76 board members. I've seen boards with 16 board members. I've seen boards with 11 board members. So if the decision is to hold off, which I respect and understand, the other folks will form the corporation, decide how many board seats there are, decide who has what representation in the boardroom, and they'll let the folks who are not part of it know after those decisions are made. and then they'll move forward with the plan, which is what we don't want. But during this 10 months that I'm here, this partnership will form. The strategy will be developed, the board seats will be decided, and the plan is moving forward. Because there's competition is fierce. This just formed after not too many months of work, and there's 30 of these that are going to be formed this year, and there were 30 formed last year, and the year before. So we're only here to say, consider being part of the formation of the future of the region and participate collectively with those others who have committed the money. And we're talking about $40,000 from Carter County on a $1.1 or $1.5 million a year budget. That's the amount. So leverage into over $1 million up against folks who are putting in $1.75 million just for marketing and attraction. Leverage that money against the millions that will come from the private sector who want to see these counties succeed because their employees live here and their businesses are here. So I apologize. That's my apology. We should have given you this to avoid confusion, and we should have said you are part of forming the details of the plan. That's why we don't have details here to bring to you tonight. But it's happening now.
Mr. Lyons, did you have something you want to say?
Yes, I did. Thank you. I did attend the meeting at the request of the mayor. I think it's over a year ago, actually. And that was just to hear the national firm, or the national group, I think, present what they can do, which is, I think, what these guys are talking about right now. And the thing that I wanted to say is, and I said this to Mr. Miller today, and I still believe this, and I'm not trying to sell this, that any time that you can develop a network, a regional network, working together, trying to help each other and identifying job opportunities, companies. Example, if they don't convert, move their company to Jonesboro, maybe they would move to Johnson City, if we were at the table. And one of the other things that's very impressive about this, if you've ever done a startup, and I'm sure Dr. Acuff has, I have. If you've ever done a startup, 501(c), and you hear the first thing out of your mouth that you're going to have equal representation at the board, which is a real key thing for me, because I know Washington County is much bigger than we are. But if we're going to have 2 board members, like I heard from you today, Mr. Miller, Washington County will have 2 board members, Unicoi County will have 2 board members, we'll have equal representation on the governmental level, okay? But it seems to me like it makes good sense, as long as they're not controlling the board, to have the private sector companies sitting around that table. You talk about Tommy Burleson, his name's on there already. Everyone knows about Tommy Burleson. You talk about Eastman, you talk about Summers Taylor. I mean, we haven't got them to this table yet, have we? No, we haven't. We have a track record, and I hate to dig up bones. I don't want to go and dig these old bones up about Carter County tomorrow. We shouldn't even go there. Because we identified, we in this body identified that their performance with $110,000 a year on one salary plus benefits did not do what we wanted to do. And here's, we're talking about $40,000 just to get to the table for an opportunity like this. It's amazing to me that, no, it isn't, because I know where the pushback's coming from. We're not trying to do away with Carter County. We already tried that. We tried that. In fact, we went into a lawsuit, as everyone around this table knows. And I respect Ms. Keller and Ms. Ward still hanging in there. And they're doing a good job on it. But that's not the point. The point is it was not working. It was not providing, it may down the road, I hope it does. But here's an opportunity for us to get on a regional scale and dig into this billions of dollars that we've heard about. And I don't see this as a sales pitch, by the way. It's not a sales pitch. This is an opportunity for Carter County to sit down at the table for one time since I've been here and do something cooperatively in a fair way, level the playing field. I go back to the board members that don't normally happen. The larger counties, the larger Nashville's, and Davidson County, they always have about 10 votes to our 1. That's not what I hear here. And it's pretty, I don't understand why you can't understand this. I don't understand why you can't understand this. If you understand business and if you understand governmental entities, it's pretty simple. Unicoi, Washington, and Carter are going to have equal representation at the board. And you have to have a 501(c) in place to handle the startup and to keep it moving. That's how it works. Let me give you an example. Arch of Johnson City. That's Appalachian Regional Coalition for the Homeless. I sat on that board for 7 years. And it was a regional effort. Oh, it was 8 counties actually. Upper East, 8 counties, that's what we consider that. It's very functional. It has a great track record, and there are more grants coming through that office right now than any other 501(c) in this area. So I would just please be open-minded. I respect Mr. Hill, and all the people feel like it's being crammed down their throat. But if it's being crammed down our throat, I don't know if a whole lot of workshops is going to explain what this is about. And I again, respect Mr. Ward. He always brings up the right questions. He wants to examine things, and I respect that. But on this one, that's not really on $40,000. And I haven't talked to the mayor about this period, to make that very clear. This is Gray talking about my experience, and some people will turn around and laugh and gesture if you want to, and that's the chair's job to take care of that. While I'm speaking, you can do whatever you want to, but I'm speaking from the heart and experience. And I'm not speaking for the mayor, I'm speaking for the people who put me here. We need jobs in this county, and we're not going to get it on our own. We need help on a regional basis, in fact, on a national basis, to try to get this county moving forward. Thank you, Mayor.
Mr. McQueen. Mr. McQueen.
Sure. One thing that he touched on is talking to the people that put us here. And when I found out about this, I did some research, and I tried to talk to those people, and I went and I made some trips. I went to our city hall earlier. I didn't speak. You're back here. I just talk louder then. I don't need a mic.
Okay.
Can you hear me now? You good? All right, fantastic. So I didn't get to speak with him directly, but he did call me back. I got to talk to our city manager and asked him, I said, look, I want to swallow my pride and apologize. I've not darkened your doorway nearly as much as I should, and asked, how can we work together as one, like we talked about when we all got elected? What do we need to do? Do you support this organization moving forward? Where's the city at? I need a voice. He said, we support it. He said, we're behind it. That's the direction we need to move. Mr. Hartman's here. I would love to hear what Mr. Hartman has to say. He's from the city. And let's work together on something. One county, one city, one direction. Let's move forward. Everybody, when we knocked on doors, said, jobs, jobs, jobs. Are we going to take the one opportunity we have and we can buy a Lamborghini for $10,000 and say, do you have the, where's all the, no, you buy that Lamborghini for $10,000. Mr. Hartman, if you would please.
Mr. Hartman, if you would please come forth. You've been requested by one of our commissioners to speak, sir, on this very important matter.
Thank you. I want to apologize, but we did not call each other.
We know where you're at, Mr. Hartman. You're already on board.
As far as the city is concerned, I think there's been a lot of great discussion tonight when I came in. The stance that we're taking on this is that we are 100% on board. We feel that, as has been brought up many times tonight, there's a limited amount of funding that Carter County has to give. There's a limited amount of funding that the city of Elizabethton has to give. As a matter of fact, we're reducing our fund. And we're allocating for economic development this year. So, you know, we recognize that, and we see the benefit that putting all of our assets together, to basically putting our money with the county's money, with Washington County's money, with Johnson City's money, and with Unicoi County's money, to really benefit both, well, the entire region. You know, when we look at the economic data, when we look at the commuting patterns between Carter County and Elizabethton and Johnson City and Washington County, I wish I could pull this up right now, because most of you would probably be surprised at just the sheer numbers of people that not only commute from Elizabethton and Carter County to Johnson City, but vice versa. You know, Elizabethton, short of the people who live in Elizabethton, the largest, next biggest community group to come into Elizabethton to work is from Johnson City. So I really think that we look at this, we function as one large economy, we function as one large metropolitan area. And, you know, I know that I've heard concerns of, you know, well, Washington County's gonna get it all, or Unicoi County's gonna get it, they've got trains, we don't. I mean, and to a certain extent, some of that may or may not be true. But we have other assets that Washington County doesn't, and we have other assets that Unicoi County doesn't. And so I think that is really the focus here is, what is everybody bringing to the table? Not just funding and finances, but as far as workforce, as far as education, as far as just literal assets, you know, the Snap-ons, the MAPEs, you know, those are, how can we get those industries to work together across county lines and benefit all of us? And I think the big thing to think about is, you know, businesses do not see political lines. They don't care, they don't know, they don't look at the population of Elizabethton and say, well, you know, it's not a big enough city. No, they're looking at that because they know that's where people come from to shop and work in the city. So, and the same thing applies to Johnson City. They're looking at the entire area. Where is our workforce? The workforce includes Carter County, the workforce includes Unicoi County. So I see this as a step forward, a step in the right direction, a step that can really boost Carter County, not only in our various industries, but in manufacturing as well. I think that if an industry is in Washington County, you know, if these guys are working with Carter County, they'd be more than happy to say, hey, we got a site in Carter County. Since you're expanding and we don't have anything available here, let's take you over there and have a look. So I guess I would just finish by saying, you know, we've worked together unofficially. You know, Washington County and Carter County, tomorrow have worked together in the past. And the city, my position, have worked with Unicoi County as well. So we've worked together. This is just making it, kind of taking it that next step and making it a more formalized process. So, thank you. Thank you.
Any questions for Mr. Hartman? Mr. Hill.
Yeah, okay, so I'm sorry to keep asking questions, but I want to know things, okay? You said you had not you, John, I'm sorry, but the guys that are the guests tonight, you said you had a drafted plan for the overall kind of marketing strategy. Where do you see Carter County fitting in the puzzle? What are we marketing Carter County as exactly? And why have we not called up Sullivan County, and why are there not 4 boxes on the, because they've got the racetrack and they've got the Birthplace of Country Music Museum and some pretty great stuff over there as well. And is that part of is that a future looking thing, or are we just going to be this small consortium?
We're in the process of drafting a plan to bring to that group. When you look at the attributes and assets, you know, again, I'll touch on what Mr. McQueen said. One is existing businesses. You've got to work with the folks that are here that already creating jobs. We need Snap-on to be successful. Primary target, we need to be sitting down with them on a regular basis. The other piece is, when you think of attributes and assets, is there's a common amount. I mean, the Tiger River, those are pieces, honestly, we gotta tell that story. There's people within this region that have no clue about the fishing on the Tiger River. I mean, those are elements we have got to not only tell here locally, but they're gonna help companies be able to recruit talent from outside in. I mean, those are pieces that we don't have in Johnson City. You know, so there's a lot of value having Carter County, Elizabeth, and that's second.
So do you see us primarily as recreational then, and
No.
that sort of thing? or-
No, I think there needs to be, the discussion needs to start happening now. And I think Western Carter County is prime for the picking when you start looking at future business sites. You've got to do it, but it's got to start somewhere. You know, it's a heck of a lot better when you start compiling resources and you look at, say, Johnson City that may be willing to invest hand in hand with Carter County and Elizabeth and develop something there. You know, those are dollars that are in the pot that's not solely on your back. Those are dollars when you think about a $40,000 investment into a $1.2 million, you know, budget. Your dollar's going to go pretty dang far. You know, you've got to have the conversations. You've got to start somewhere. You know, whether you're a small business owner or whether you work for a big organization like Tweed City, those visions started somewhere. They ultimately are where they are today, and we can do that in an economic development platform. Bigger picture, yeah, we need to be talking Sullivan County. We're in MSA. That's how we are recognized. Carter, McCoy, and Washington. But hands down, there needs to be a bigger vision 5 years down the road to start thinking, how can we collaborate better with Sullivan County? Let's get it in order here and let's work together. Let's do this where we can work side by side for the greater good, for our constituents and the people that are in this room, but also over in Johnson City, also in Rome Mountain.
Right, so if we plan on bringing Sullivan in later, and you made the statement earlier that, you know, if we buy in now, we get to check boxes and make decisions in this organizational thing, is that not a negative when you're talking about bringing them in once the decisions are already made, or?
No, I think that's a whole nother discussion for another day, in my opinion. You know, we're looking at our MSA. What makes us strong? What makes us unique? What can we do to work better together? That's what we're starting today.
Commissioner Von Cannon.
Either a few of our commissioners are obnoxious, trying to be obnoxious, or they need to take a trip to Washington County and see what's happening. We don't have to have a master plan of every detail. What we have to have is jobs. And the way you're going to get jobs is listen to these people.
All right, Jerry.
They absolutely know what's happening. Now, you indicated you couldn't hear. I want to make sure you hear this.
That isn't what I'm
Number one.
It was calling us obnoxious.
Number one, where would we be without East Tennessee State University jobs? Where would we be without Veterans Administration jobs? Where would we be without those entities that we don't have? We can drive 10 or 12 miles to our job if we want one. If we don't, then we can sit at home and draw food stamps or whatever. If you want a job, it's there, and they know how to do this. I sit back and watch this. I just spent $40-some thousand for 9 jobs. I know that they can do that, and if it hadn't been for Mr. Hartman, one of those I wouldn't have had. And the mayor helped me in that respect. It involved grandfathering in something that I needed, or I couldn't have had this one new company. And that one new company put 9 jobs, only 9 jobs, but 9 jobs times $20,000 a year, compounded 2 or 3 times in your economy, is substantial. It's worth looking at. We need to listen to these people because we're not experts. Some of us might have a little more experience than others. I admit, I'm 79 years old and I don't know anything compared to these new guys. We need to listen. Where would you be, Dr. Acuff, without the jobs from East Tennessee State that drive from this county to East Tennessee State? In 26 years ago, I did a study. 210 people drove from here, Carter to Tennessee Eastman. And that's a pretty substantial drive, but that's what they did. So, let's quit being obnoxious and get out of the business of listening to the experts. We're not experts. We do a lot of yapping, but talking and yapping is not getting out and studying the issue. Read the paper, go take a look.
One last thing here, we're going to try to bring this thing to a close. We've had quite a bit of discussion. Mitch, could you reiterate one more time for the commission the success that you have seen in Washington County just in the last couple of years as far as jobs and actual dollar investment?
Again, thank you for the opportunity to be here to speak. I really do enjoy the discussion, and I'm happy to continue the discussion ongoing if that's what it takes. But, looking at where we started with our Economic Development Council in 2009, it took time. It took committed folks on a public and private sector standpoint to come together and work together. We're finally seeing results. We talked about, and I'll be happy to email this to you. I've actually emailed some. We talked about results from 2013 when I started in my position as the CEO in October. Today, over $200 million in new investment into Washington County. Johnson City right now is operating with a $3.2 million surplus. It's because of efforts that they've invested in economic development as to why we're in the position we're in today. There's no reason we can't do that in Clark County. When you look at jobs, we can all relate to that. We all have jobs. We all want other people to have jobs. We want economies to grow. Just in that time period since I've been CEO of the Economic Development Council, over 2,000 jobs are being created in Washington County. I want it to be bigger than that. It needs to happen here. But I need each and every one of you at the table with me.
Thank you. Mr. Peters.
I have two quick questions. One is, you've already touched on it. Washington County naturally will pay in more money to this, and would they reap more benefits by doing that? That's one question, which they probably would. And as far as these people that sits on this board, who sits on the board, and will this be a paid position? And who makes the decision as to who sits on the board?
I'll address the first question. I'm going to let Mr. Burns address the second. So, when we look at the benefits, this is equal representation. Where we're at today, I'll be happy to share those dollars. Washington County, Johnson City, they're both looking at investing over $171,000 each. They've got a larger industry base. Yeah, they've got a university, the healthcare system is headquartered there. Commerce is booming there right now. But when it comes down to around the table, we're looking at the same representation that Carter County has. It's going to be an equal voice, and it has to be an equal voice. Johnson City is a different city than Elizabeth. It's not an urban, but that's not a bad thing. There's attributes in each of those communities that we talk about as to why they need to be there. Economic development is not just railroads and industry. It's bigger than that. When we're competing with a Roanoke that brands themselves as an outdoor destination, there's no reason we can't do that here. Carter County is a big part of that right there. They bring something to the table that Johnson City has no chance in the world of replicating. Those are things that are important. That's why you need to be here. But it has to be. It has to be. If it's not, it's something. That's been part of the problem in the past with some regional efforts. I've seen it firsthand. We need private sector and public sector working together.
And so as far as your question about the board, Commissioner, the board seats themselves are not paid positions or volunteer positions. The only paid individuals in the organization itself would be the paid CEO and the paid staff. So those are the only paid positions. In terms of how the board seat composition looks, there's some best practices that we'll certainly bring to the table. Ultimately, it's for the initial founding group to either adopt those best practices that your competition is using extremely effectively, or if you think you have an approach that serves you better, to adopt a different approach that's outside of that realm. So those decisions will be made here probably in the next, let's say 6 to 8 weeks, by those people that are around that table at the start. And then that group will go and invite other private sector leaders to the table, or public sector leaders for the 2017 budget cycle, and talk about what that might look like a year from now. That answers the question, sir.
So basically, if I understand this correct, Mr. Burns, then if Washington County and Johnson City are contributing about 170, that's $340,000 their part, and you're looking basically 100,000 from Unicoi, 100,000 from Carter County. At this point in time, we have $40,000 that's been earmarked into the budget for economic community development. John, the budget is underway at City of Elizabethton, and have you folks already incorporated a certain amount of money in that line item? And is it the number that had been mentioned earlier, or is that increased or decreased or what? I mean,
Sorry to say, I haven't looked too closely at that number. We've kind of gone back and forth on that, but it will probably be finalized somewhere between 30 and 40,000.
okay. So basically, City of Elizabethton's coming in about what Johnson City, Carter County has available. So about $75,000, and that's what we've talked about from day one. That's the money that's been earmarked up to this point. And I'm understanding you correct, Mr. Burns, $75,000. If it was $40,000 from the county, $35,000 from the city, would buy us a seat on that board initially?
The answer is yes, Mayor. The idea is to make this as simplified as possible and not move outside your budget process, with the idea to be very transparent and public about it. The 100,000 is still the target, so for future years' budgets, there'll probably be a discussion that moves back towards that number as the whole. So the answer is yes, yes, sir.
And that could be addressed in a contract with the commission and the regional partnership at that point in time. And if they see the value, if at that time they see the value, they can continue on and expand. If they see that it's not worked for them for whatever reason, then they could take action at that time.
Yes, sir, that's correct.
Ms. Dietz.
Question. Who decides who sits on the board from Carter County?
If you're investing through your 1101, then it would be all of you to decide. If you're investing through the county, it's all of you to decide. The traditional pattern, and I want to restate that, traditional, not mandatory, there's no one around to say it's mandatory, is if a city or county has a city manager or a town administrator, town manager, county administrator, anybody with those executive titles, and that is your executive for your county or your city, that would be traditionally the person that would occupy the seat. If you have a city or a county with a strong mayor form of government, traditionally the mayor, who is the strong mayor, would occupy that seat. Again, that's a traditional best practice, not mandatory in any way, and it has not been decided at this point, with the idea that when the initial cities and counties get around to the table, you all get to decide what you think is best. At the very least, I will say that there would be criteria that would say that whoever you decide would meet a certain level of business acumen and business requirement, so that when they're sitting with the CEO, Alan Levine, Rich Holder from NN, they're sitting with Joel Dooling from Nuclear Fuel Service, those individuals who are going to have tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars invested, they want to be basically across from someone who they feel is an equal partner in terms of the business planning process. So it's going to be very important that whoever that may be, they have those certain criteria so that it makes for a robust and very strategic board.
And just for clarification, our 1101 has no funding. So the monies going into this regional partnership would not be funneled through the 1101. It's a little different situation than Washington and Unicoi County. It would be coming directly from the county to take that seat. That's where the funding comes through from. Yeah. Yes, sir.
I have a question. Have these gentlemen already met with the city and discussed this with the city?
Yes, not formally at a council meeting, but we have met with various councilmen, as well as there's been countless meetings between the three of us and our city manager.
Okay, like, the city has not actually voted on it yet?
Correct.
Correct.
We'll be approaching the city with the same conversation because there is a line in the budget for economic development that's been identified to us. So we've met with, again, not everybody, similar to here, but we've met as many as we could in a short period. And so far, the indication is that what the gentleman has shared in terms of their sentiments.
So they've had some time to think this over before
They've had about a week or two, but I just want to reiterate, it's a reoccurring theme, so this is very important. I personally, and it's not, again, not commissioner exclusive, but trying to go through all of the right communication channels. At the time that I started this, Carter County Tomorrow was still the body that was economic development. In Unicoi County, they have an economic development board, so my job was to go to them, which I did. And also in Washington and Johnson City, it's obvious they have a board and a council. So during the interview process, both public and private, I don't have all the names, but I'll just read a few. It's important to know that who was part of these conversations, remembering that Mr. Miller 2 years ago met with several people that were part of the Carter County Tomorrow board that included both elected officials and private sector leaders. But I did meet with Mr. Hartman one-on-one, Dale Fair, Jill Laporte, Sam Laporte, Jack Simpson, Rab Summers, Richard Tester. I met with the city manager, met with Kurt Alexander. I met with the mayor as part of the interview process, as we typically have all mayors part of the interview process is standard procedure anywhere in the United States. And this is not an exhaustive list. I met with Alex Borla. I met with the executives of your banks and other small, medium-sized businesses, Snap-on Tools, and others. So we try to get as broad a perspective as we could from both the city and county governmental side, but also your constituents, the people who pay taxes here, and some of them who are fairly significant employers here, because they count too. And so, met with a lot of people, talked over a long period of time. Mr. Miller started this conversation 2 years ago intently with elected officials and others. And I started in January with the list I gave you, and I've met with many others since. I'd say totally, maybe 30 to 40 representatives of both city, county, and private sector within the Carter County environment. So it's also been in the newspapers multiple times. This appearance in the Journal was probably the 5th or 6th of articles on this exact topic in the last month. I've been here for about a month doing this now. I was here in January for 3 weeks, and now about a month. So I think I want to readdress the fact that this was by no means meant to be kept secret, behind closed doors, short time frames. This has gone on for years. There's been dozens of people involved in discussions. It's been publicized many times in the paper in the short time I've been here. So just wanted to make sure that we shared that.
John, one last thing. You're in contact on a daily basis with City Manager Kitchens, Mayor Alexander, Richard Tester of Carter County Tomorrow, formerly chair, still chair of that organization. And I can speak only to my conversation with Mayor Alexander. Mayor Alexander assured me, and he told me there was no problem of outlining to this commission that he felt that the entire city council was behind this organization and had committed. And basically that's what I'm hearing from you. Is there anyone that you know of in the city of Elizabethton that would not be on board with this organization and the regional approach?
I want to clarify, I do not speak for city council, but not that I can think of. There have been, like I said, there have been ongoing staff discussions on ongoing council, city manager discussions about this approach. So I feel confident that probably the majority of council is on board with moving forward.
And at any point in time, do you feel that with the city of Elizabeth and their limited resources, or Carter County with their limited resources, even if we were to pool them, that we could put together a marketing strategy and plan that would be effective as what we would realize with this organization?
Excuse me, Mr. Chairman, you were leading him with these, prodding him with information.
Mr. Meehan,
No.
I'm asking a question, and he's giving an
He said
answer.
probably, and you are following it up and putting words in his mouth.
Thank you, Mr.
Don't
Meehan.
feel good.
Mr. Hartman, go ahead.
I think that there are some realities that we have to face. You know, obviously, we don't have the funding, we don't have the staff that even Washington County Economic Development Council currently has. So, to be fully effective in the sense that they are fully effective, you know, I think that that's something that we will not be able to attain unless the city and the county commission decide to aggressively move forward with their own economic development, in which case that would be additional, potentially thousands of dollars, hundreds of thousands of dollars extra. So, in the current state of affairs, I would say no.
Mr. Acuff, and we'll try to bring us to a close.
John, do you believe, certainly you've had these discussions ongoing, it seems for more months than we have. Do you think your council members would benefit by a short workshop before you all make a final budget decision? And you talked about partnerships earlier. Could that workshop include the Carter County Commission and the Elizabethton City Council and us sit down together and look and talk and get some answers from Mitch and Wayne? And do you think they're benefited by that?
I mean, I would certainly encourage any kind of joint conversation between the commission and the city council. I would say that our budgets are a little bit different in the city. We staff prepare all the budgets and then submit them for approval to city council. So we don't actually have like a budget committee or a finance committee that kind of oversees that process. So regardless, we'll have funding set aside for economic development. It's just going to be a matter of what pot are we putting it in, if that makes sense.
But have you all had the same discussions or the same questions asked that were riffed here tonight?
I think to a certain extent those conversations have happened, and I have been privy to some of those between the city manager and the city council. But I think to a certain extent some of those questions have, and I would be more than happy to relay your information to the city mayor.
Now, when do you all vote on the city budget? I think we do July the 18th.
It'll be the second Thursday. Actually, we'll be June 30th. Will be our finals, our second reading on our budget. So,
Commissioner Acuff, he actually sat down with Jerome Kitchens last week and asked to be on the next agenda.
Could you all, if we came to some agreement to do this together as city council and commission, accommodate us before we each address our respective budgets to maybe carve out an hour or two, open session for us to continue to ask some questions and get a better understanding so we can also explain what's going on to our constituents. We have a town hall meeting coming up in July, and I'd like to be able to say this is what we're going to do, this is why we're going to do it, and this is what the format looks like.
We'd be happy to do that. I do want to stress, though, frankly, because of your thoroughness and respect and appreciate all your questions. To be honest with you, that workshop will yield the same answers you were given. You've exhausted, I think, all the information we have at this point. So what's on the public record right as of this minute, you will sit and listen to again in an hour-long workshop. I'm not trying to be facetious. We don't have more detail, but you will help create the detail. So you've been great. Questions are amazing. There is not any more information about this at this point.
Well, I think it also does gives us another opportunity to bring the city and the county together. Whether we're asking the same questions and whether the answers will be the same is immaterial. Because that exchange needs to occur between council and commissioner, in my opinion.
With that, Gentlemen, thank you. Mitch, Mr. Burns, John. What is the desire of the commission tonight in reference to regional economic partnership? Mr. McQueen.
I'll make a motion that we move forward and approve the the venture of Washington County Economic Development Council as presented.
Okay, just let me make sure that I've got this clear. The motion is to approve the venture of Carter County being part of the regional partnership that's been proposed.
I made that amendment.
Well, I'm trying to summarize, Mr. McQueen, Mr. Meehan.
You're putting words in.
Well, let's let the
He said we should move forward. He didn't say that we approve it.
Mr. McQueen, could you please repeat the motion so that I can write it down? And Mr. Meehan, if you would, please pay attention so that you can write it down as well. Thank you.
I apologize. That was my mumbling of words. That was totally on me. I motion that we approve the Washington County Economic Development Council membership to that Washington County Economic Development Council as was presented by Mr. Mitchell and Mr. Miller rather, and Mr. Burns.
Okay, what I heard was motion to approve Washington County membership, and that would not pertain to us. Now, what is the motion? Is the motion to approve Carter County's membership in the regional?
I thought that's what I said, our membership in that.
Our membership. I didn't hear that, sir. Okay. Motion to approve our membership being Carter County.
The 24-member body, the commission representing Carter County. Yes.
County Attorney, I'm going to read this back, make certain that you've got it correct. Mr. McQueen, correct me if it's wrong. The motion is to approve our membership, namely Carter County's membership in the regional partnership proposed by Washington County.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. I mean, you're proposing that Carter County join the presentation they put forth, the Washington County Economic Development Council program that they presented. You want Carter County to join that and commit our funding. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay. I think we're all on the same page. We're just playing semantics.
Okay.
I think Mr. McQueen's motion is that we join this presentation.
And with that, I guess funding, there has to be clarification in this motion as to the amount of funding.
Well, then let me be very clear about that.
If you would, please.
The $40,000 that we have set aside for economic development, $40,000, .00, whatever needs to be done.
Okay. I think we all understand. Mr. Meehan, do you understand at this point in time what the motion is?
Mr. Mayor, you said.
Forget about what I said. Forget about what Mr.
You read the motion to the attorney, and you said, as proposed by Washington County. Now, is there an official from Washington County that proposed that to this commission?
Washington County Economic Development Council and the chair of that, the president.
Washington County.
Okay.
Is it not?
Okay. One last time, Mr. Meehan.
Is it over? Are we?
No, sir, we've not got a second yet. We've got to have a motion first, sir. Mr. McQueen, the county attorney said that it's basically this. His motion was to approve our membership, Carter County's membership, joining into the regional partnership as outlined and proposed tonight by Washington County Economic Development Council, and not to exceed $40,000, the amount of money that we currently have in the line item for economic and community development.
Mr. Chairman,
I approve that. That's fine.
can I amend that motion and say we track for 1 year?
I think the contracts that will follow at a later date will take care of those types of things. We haven't entered into a contract. Is there a second?
I'll say it.
Mr. Jenkins seconds. Any discussion at this point in time? Discussion.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Lewis.
on the lines of this, what we're talking about tonight, I was in business for 45 years, and I worked up to 16. Now, when you get together with the other competitions, and you start buying a product, you buy cheaper. If you join the coalition, you can buy cheaper, and then you can save people money. Now, Carter County sure ain't had nothing in the past, and I say let's give this, these gentlemen, red light, and see what they can do.
Ms. Brown.
I would like to ask each and every one of us to put everything aside tonight and do the right thing and vote on this, literally, because everyone run on bringing jobs into this county, and this is the closest thing we're going to get to it. So, and I took my district, I sat here and I took, and I took, and I took, these were arrogant. Arrogant, what are you?
Folks, any other discussion? The motion is on the floor. Mr. Meehan.
I still have a lot of questions. Mr. Lyon spoke to equal representation on the board, and I think it's Mr. Burns that said they were presenting the top box. Mr. Lyons made frequent references from his experience that you needed equal representation for the formation of a 501c3, and the record will show that he used 3. The top box of the 501c6. Now, I don't know all the nuances between a 3 and a 6, but again, I'm not sure what the equal representation is going to be, and we don't know about salaries and composition of CEO and staff. It's a pretty risky thing at this point without further discussion and information, in my opinion. And I really object, Mr. Chairman, for you allowing things like obnoxious and the other word that was just expressed here about us. I don't really think that's appropriate.
Why don't you?
Folks, if you would, Mr. Lyons, did you want to say something?
I just wanted to say to Mr. Meehan, my good friend and fellow commissioner from Rome Mountain, that the 501(c) and the 501(c)(6), they're both nonprofit organizations, and they're set up basically the same way, unless I'm wrong. They're exactly the same way.
That's correct. So whichever one you use there.
It's under a different statute.
Well, I was just pointing out you kept referring to the 3, and he was referring to
That's
the
a good
6.
clarification.
Okay. Discussion should end unless there's someone that has something that's burning on their heart that they just can't make it tonight without saying. With that, we have a motion. The motion is duly seconded. If you are in favor of Carter County becoming part of this regional partnership to the tune of $40,000 a year, respond with aye. Those opposed, nay. Reveal the vote, please. 13 ayes. Carter County will be part of the partnership. Thank you, gentlemen.
Mr. Chairman, can we take
We can take a 10-minute break at this time. Everyone, please be back here in 10 minutes. If you would please take your seats. We've got quite a bit of business to take care of yet this evening. We're going to give Miss Patsy a moment to get seated here. Are you good to go? Now, we're down to the acceptance of minutes from previous meeting. Chair will entertain a motion pertaining to those. Sir, is that motion to accept as submitted?
Motion to accept as submitted, sir.
Okay. Second by Mr. Simmerly. Any discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, if you would proceed with the vote. Those in favor respond with aye. Those opposed, nay. Mr. Ward. And Mr. Lyons. Where is Mr. Lyons?
He'll be back. Lots out there, you can't find this.
Okay, we'll just have to mark him absent. With that, Madam Clerk, reveal the vote. Motion passes. Now, we're at notaries and bonds. Madam Clerk, could you read the notary and bonds, please?
William J. Laird, Angela Michelle Irwin, Brian M. Tipton, Dina McIntyre, David A. Lacey, Scott Morton, Betty W. Mustard, Tammy A. Street, Amy Stateson, Robert Murphy Jr., William J. Goodman, George W. Trent, W. Gordon Vance, Ricky Danielle Bogman, Taylor Joe Potter, Amy Arrington, please add Dana Starnes and Terry Dale Blevins, who's working as the Director of the Emergency Communications District, and Kevin Ward as the Director of Carter County Schools. Motion to approve.
Okay, 3 additions, Dana Starnes, Terry Dale Blevins, and Kevin Ward. Motion made by Commissioner Culler. Is there a second? Mr. Von Cannon. Any discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, proceed with the vote. Reveal the vote, please. Motion passes. Next item is Resolution A, authorizing mayor to sign Tennessee Department of Health contract for local health services, Carter County. County Attorney, could you please read the resolution?
This is a resolution authorizing the county mayor to execute the grant contract between the state of Tennessee Department of Health and Carter County. Whereas pursuant to TCA 68-2-603 and 68-2-607, each county shall establish a county health department and may enter into contracts with governmental entities to assist the county health department in carrying out its duties and functions. Whereas rural local health meets the needs of Tennessee citizens as provided by the county health departments, and whereas the state of Tennessee Department of Health and Carter County must enter into a contractual relationship in order for Carter County to receive grant funds which reimburse costs expended by the Carter County Health Department for rural local health services provided to the citizens of Carter County. Whereas it is in the best interest of the citizens of Carter County to enter into said contractual agreement with the state, as it will ensure that needed rural local health services will continue to be provided in Carter County. Now therefore be it resolved by the Board of County Commissioners for Carter County, Tennessee, meeting in regular session on this 20th day of June 2016, with a lawful quorum of said board being present, with majority voting in the affirmative, that the Carter County Mayor is hereby authorized to execute all documents necessary to enter into a legally binding contractual agreement with the State of Tennessee Department of Health, which will serve to allow Carter County to receive grant funds for the operations of the Carter County Health Department. Be it further resolved that further authorization of the Board of County Commissioners shall not be required for routine extensions of this contract wherein the terms thereof remain unchanged. Be it further resolved that this resolution shall take effect from and after the date of its approval, the welfare of the county demanding, and further that any part of past resolutions in conflict with this resolution are hereby rescinded to the extent that such a conflict exists.
With that, I have a motion by Ms. Brown. Is there a second? Mr. Ward? Any discussion?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I'd like to ask a question. Now, does this give us the right to go ahead and apply for the other grant for the health department?
No, this has nothing to do with the other grant that you're speaking of.
Ronnie, this is for your health department. All their employees are paid through the state. We pay them through the county. They reimburse us. That's what this is for.
This has been an ongoing contract. The mayors have signed year after year after year. It provides a substantial amount of money, $428,000, basically, state and federal monies to hire the staff that's needed over there. Just in the past, there has not been a resolution from the commission authorizing the mayor to sign, and we are a commission of compliance, so I asked the county attorney to draft a resolution so that once I sign, there will be no question. Okay? Any other discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor respond with aye. Those opposed, nay. Madam Clerk, proceed with the vote. Motion passes. Resolution duly adopted. Now, committee reports. Agricultural Committee. Yes, sir. Mr. Garland.
Hello, the Agriculture Committee, we met on May 27th, our first meeting of the year. Main order of business was to the approval of our new 4-H program, the director, and that was Ms. Emily Barton. The committee vote was unanimous, and so she was accepted before she started the position. She's in that position. They introduced Melissa Shelton, I believe is her name. Melissa Shelton, who is the 4-H program assistant. I think she was hired in November. So the 4-H program, you got some new people in there. They're getting acquainted with things. You also have Mrs. Ambrose, who's also new to the position. As the director, they've been making some changes, some improvements to their office. They're looking to get a new sign here in the future. And, they're working real hard over there to just improve the grant. I think the mayor's been there to look at some structural things and some windows, things like that, to improve the facility. I attached minutes to everybody's desk as well. Some of the highlights, just to highlight those. Miss Vicki Clark, there are a couple of initiatives that they're involved in. They have applied for some federal funding for the Farmers Market Fresh program. I know, Mike, that they're pretty active at the farmers market on Saturday.
For that so much.
They've been active in that. She's also received a $2,300 grant in conjunction with the Carter County Community Gardens Project. I think there's four facilities in the county where they do have those community gardens going on right now. But this was in conjunction to that, and they included Elizabeth Housing, which was, I think, a canning program, something like that they're active in, and also at the library, the children's reading program. So, been very active, and one thing that's really neat that Ms. Clark provided was the Holston Habitat for Humanity, the Battle of the Playhouses, which is in conjunction with the Battle of Bristol, the Tennessee Vols and Virginia Tech. This is a fundraiser, actually, for the Habitat for Humanity to improve housing, substandard housing, is what it says in the minutes there. And the money is raised online. I think that initiative starts July 1st, which is coming up in a couple of weeks here, and you are able to go on there. You can, I think it's accessible through the Holston Habitat, their website. You can find it. It doesn't start until July 1st. runs through September the 9th, I believe, with the deadline on the 10th. And, you know, anybody would want to check it out, or, you know, it is for a good cause and to raise money for, you know, substandard housing in our communities. Really all I had on that. Nothing to introduce to the committee for any kind of recommendation, but Ms. Clark was approved unanimously.
Appreciate your work over there. And maybe in August, after we get this budget behind us in July, we can have those people come over and tell us about the 4-H and how it's going and how they're settling in. Wonderful.
Yeah, some really neat programs over there, and I think some that people don't realize are going on. They are doing a good job and very involved. And we also set some dates for the upcoming meetings. I know late July, and I think the dates are in there.
Well, we appreciate your work on that committee. Thank you, sir.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
I'd like to mention something. I looked at the building over there, and we're going to have to do some work over there at the building most likely. Are you aware of it?
Yeah, we're aware. I've spoken to Ms. Ambrose, Ms. Clark over there, spoke to the mayor as well, and I think he's been there in the past week.
It's getting needs repairs.
Yeah.
So,
Well, it's serious, Mr. Trivett. The extensive repairs, everything from sheeting on the roof to gutter to, there was a window that was put in many years ago that's not original to the structure downstairs in the bathroom. And water has penetrated that wall, it's the floor, just all kinds of things. So there's some serious issues. I've taken a look at it. We've done an assessment. I'm going to make some contacts up at the camp and see if we can get some crews in to help us. And if not, we'll probably have to sub some of that out to just contractors. But I've looked at it thoroughly, and I appreciate Ross bringing that to our attention. Thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you.
Okay, Budget Committee, Ms. Culler.
You have several items, so if you'll take out your minutes from the budget and follow along.
Ms. Collins, let me make a motion this time. 1-2-15, there's not very much there. We don't have to go item by item. And I'd like to make a motion that we, each one of those, number 1 to number 15, those amendments.
You talking about the general fund 101?
Yes.
What about the balance from 15 to 20 to 30?
And which one?
Actually 39.
But we're not open, I just said from 1 to 15.
Okay. We have a motion by Commissioner Trivett for Carter County Fund 101, Budget Amendment 10, item 1 through 15. Is there a second? Second by Mr. Ward. Any discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, proceed with the vote. If you're in favor of all of those amendments, 1 through 15, respond with aye. Those opposed, nay. Reveal the vote. 20 ayes, motion passes. So 1 through 15 is approved. Now what about the balance?
I have a motion for item number 16 through 30.
39? Is that correct, Ms. Culler?
That's correct.
So now we're needing a motion. Mr. Ward makes a motion to approve items 16 through 39. Is there a second? Second by Mr. Von Cannon. Any discussion?
We have a minute to go over before we vote.
Yes, ma'am. If you'll take just a second. Ms. Krista, would you like to expand upon those? It looks to me straightforward budget.
They are straightforward reallocating with each individual line item. I will kind of touch on the ones that are coming from fund balance, just so you are made more aware of those. Item number 34 is increased trustees commission. That's a good thing. As the revenue comes in, trustees commission goes up as well. That's an expense. It also comes back to the county's revenue, so that is a good thing. I also increased legal fees. I don't know that we'll need it, but that's one, if we come in at the hole at the end of the year, we're in trouble. So I'd rather increase it. If we don't need it, that's fine. It'll roll back into fund balance. But if we do need it, that way we're not coming in trouble at the end of the year. I think it's one you actually approved in the first set.
She's just trying to confuse us even further.
I am.
You know. Thank you, Ms. Bird. We appreciate that.
I do what I can. And lastly, item number 23 comes from fund balance, and that is to reallocate for judicial commissioner's pay. We approved paying this person, I think in 2014. But because that past fiscal years, the money was not actually put in there to pay them that extra amount. So that's just covering what we approved several years ago.
Okay. So basically, these are year-end, you know, to balance everything out, to clean up the budget
And make sure
discrepancies.
everything looks nice and good for our auditors.
Okay, Mr. Ward?
It's something tangible. Is there any way you can move the page up so we can see the outcome of the votes?
We're having a little bit of problem with that, Mr. Ward. Bottom line is, when we had our painters in here for the last week, they just finished basically today, they bumped our screen just a little bit, and I've contacted people and we'll have that adjusted, but unfortunately we cannot center it in right
Can you
now.
read the votes, please?
I can voice that at the end if you like.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. With that, seeing no more discussion, let's continue on. All those in favor of 16 through 39, respond with aye. Those opposed, nay. Reveal the vote.
20 yes, 2 no. Motion passed.
Okay, next item, Ms. Culler.
Next item is the, well, we have two items that should have been listed earlier. Mayor Humphrey requested that we reverse in remaining funds from the mayor's budget, the building and ground budget, put forward the new roof for our next fiscal year. Motion is to reserve the remaining balance of the year to the mayor's budget, buildings and ground budget for a future roof project. I'll put that forward in motion.
Motion made by Ms. Culler. Is there a second? Second by Mr. Trivett. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of allowing the mayor's, any revenues that are remaining in the mayor's budget, buildings ground budget, to be placed in a reserve for a new roof for the courthouse, respond with aye. Those opposed, nay. Mr. Peters. Reveal the vote, please.
20 yes, 2 no. Motion passed.
Next item.
The next item is Jason Shaw with the Carter County Fire Department requested to use $4,175 of the fire department's unused grant matching funds. And this is to repair a repeater apparently was just up in one of our storms. So I'll make that in form of a motion to allow the fire department to use the grant matching funds to repair the repeater.
Okay, is there a second by Dietz? Any discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, proceed with the vote. Reveal the vote.
22 yes, 0 no. Motion carried.
Going back to the minutes with the landfill, put forward a motion to approve landfill fund 116, amendment was approved for a total of $6,831.19. item, nothing coming from fund balance.
Is there a second, Mr. Ward? Is that a second or? Second by Ward. Any discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, proceed with the vote. Be patient with Mrs. Patsy tonight. She's trying to work both controls. All ayes, motion passes. Next item.
Next page, the Health Department, on 117, amendment number 2, for a total of $12,500. One item, nothing coming from fund balance. I'll put that for a motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Trivett. Any discussion as far as Health Department Fund 117? Madam Clerk, proceed with the vote. Reveal the vote. All ayes. Next item.
Next item has to do with the Drug Control Fund, 122, amendment number 1, and I'll put in form of a motion to approve $32,653.33, 2 items, and $31,553.33 coming from the drug fund balance.
Is there a second? Mr. Ward again? Any discussion?
Point of information. Was it ever finalized whether employees could vote on certain things at this point?
County Attorney? I think you got your answer there, Mr. Meehan.
There he is. What's it going on? What's it going on?
Hello? You don't have to crank it. That should be about it. Turn it back a little bit. Yeah. He just hit the main. It's an accident. Things happen.
There's too much electronic equipment up here. I hit something. Yeah, that question came up last month, and actually that went into effect the day after our last commission meeting. I think it was May 20th. The reading of the disclosures is no more. There is no, if you have a conflict, you're supposed to abstain and not vote. You can vote if you're an employee of the county or your spouse is an employee of the county, if it's not on individual items that increase the salary or benefits for you or that person. You all can vote on the entire budget, even if it is something that's going to affect you. But individual appropriations or amendments that directly affect your salary benefits or your spouse's salary benefits, if they're an employee of the county, you're supposed to abstain for cause, and you don't count toward the overall total of how many votes are needed to pass.
Is there a way to clarify that when an item comes up?
Well, I mean, you sitting there would know as if a particular item would affect you or your spouse. I don't necessarily know all of your spouses or if they're county employees or not. But, if it's something that you've got a question on before we vote on it, certainly ask. But there is no more reading of the statement that says, I've got a conflict but I'm going to vote anyway. You're supposed to not vote. And just for clarification purposes, if it has happened already, if it's not challenged directly before we move on to the next item, it's too late.
So, Mr. Meehan, I have no idea what your income is and how it's going to be affected or that of your spouse. So, you're the only one that can do that.
I can guarantee you it's not affected by this one because it's not affecting salaries or benefits whatsoever. So you're good.
So we have the motion, it's duly seconded. Any other question? Seeing none or discussion, proceed with the vote. Reveal the vote.
Motion carried.
Next item.
The next item is one of anybody. It has to do with the Sports and Recreation Fund, 123, Amendment Number 2. Total of $4,100 with 2 items, and $3,500 coming from the Sports and Recreation Fund. To allocate funds to the Lone Mountain Community Park.
The second by Brown. You did make that in the form of motion. I'm sorry, ma'am, I didn't mean to cut you off. Any discussion? Seeing none, proceed with the vote. Reveal the vote.
22 ayes, 0 noes.
Next item.
Next item is Highway Fund 131. I'll put it forward a motion to move the amendment number 6 for a total of $478,123.72. 2 items, nothing coming from fund balance.
Second by Trivett. Any discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, proceed with the vote. Reveal the vote.
22 ayes, 0 noes. Motion carried.
Next item.
Next item has to do with the General Purpose School Fund, 141, amendment number 11, $166,295.96 with 9 items. $110,000 will be coming from the General Purpose School Fund's balance, and I'll put that in form of motion.
Second by Dietz.
Just so you all know, the amount coming from fund balance, that is item number 1, and that is actually to purchase new telephone equipment, which will allow the school system to take over their telephone system and will create a $50,000 a year savings. So within just a few years, they'll be making money off of this change.
Okay. Any discussion? Seeing none, proceed with the vote. Reveal the vote, please.
22 ayes, 0 noes, 2 abstain.
Okay.
Next item has to do with the General Purpose School Fund, 141, amendment number 12, $230,362 for 4 items. $110,000 of that will be coming from the General Purpose School Fund.
That was an error on my part, so
Oh, I'm
I
sorry.
that was on me on your cheat sheet. Every bit of this amendment is coming from fund balance, so $230,362 is coming from fund balance.
$230,362 coming from the school fund balance. I'll put that forward in motion.
Is there a second? Mr. McQueen. Any discussion? Proceed with the vote, please. Reveal the vote.
22 ayes, 0 no, 1 abstain.
Next item is to do with General Purpose School Fund 141, amendment number 13, for $1,146,160.09 22 items, nothing coming from fund balance. I'll put that forward in motion.
Mr. Lyons, second. Any discussion? Seeing none, proceed with the vote. Reveal the vote, please.
22 ayes, 0 no, 1 abstain. Motion carries.
Next item.
Next item has to do with the Federal Projects Fund 142, amendment number 4. And I will put it in the form of a motion to approve $84,353. 2 items, nothing coming from fund balance.
Is there a second? Second to Brown. Any discussion? Seeing none, proceed with the vote.
Ayes, 0 no, 1 abstain.
Next item.
Next item is the Federal Projects Fund 142, amendment number 5, $250. 1 item, nothing coming from fund balance, and I'll put that forward in motion.
Is there a second by Dietz? Any discussion? Proceed with the vote.
ayes, 0 nays, 1 abstain. Motion carries.
Next item is the Food Service Fund 143, Amendment Number 2. The amount is $71,000, with one item coming from the Food Service Fund balance, and I'll put that in form of a motion.
Is there a second? Mr. Jenkins? Any discussion? Proceed with the vote. Mr. McQueen? Reveal the vote.
22 ayes, 0 nays, 1 abstain. Motion carries.
We have another motion, and it has to do with the debt service funds, total of $20,165, and I'll put that in form of a motion.
Is there a second? Looking for a second on the motion. Mr. Trivett. Any discussion? Proceed with the vote. Mr. Miller? Reveal the vote.
21 yes, 1 no.
Okay.
We have one additional amendment that did not come to the committee. This came in late after the committee met. It is a motion to approve the general purpose school fund amendment 14 for $23,718.18. Nothing coming from fund balance.
And I put that in your all's boxes.
I'll put that in form of a
So I
motion.
hope you all got it. It was before, I think about 98% of you picked up your packets. I think the only ones that did was Nancy and Mike Hill had already picked up their packets.
Well, we'll put that in form of a motion to approve $23,718.18. Nothing coming from fund balance. Where's the money going?
Sure, it is from the general fund, and it is coming from fringe benefits, which is where they pay their retirees bonuses, it's where they pay the retirees insurance, and it's going to contribute towards the general purpose school fund's portion towards the Head Start director's salary. That is a different fund, but the school system actually has to contribute a portion of it to that. So it's no new money, it's just reallocating from that line.
Is there a second?
I'll say.
Second by Brown. Any discussion? Proceed with the vote. Reveal the vote. Okay.
2 yes, 1 no. Motion carries.
Next thing I need to announce is that July the 18th at 5 p.m., 1 hour before the commission meeting, we will be having another public hearing. This has to do with the tax rate. Since our tax rate is different from the certified tax rate, we will have to have a public hearing on that. So that will be at 5 o'clock, July the 18th, and that will be publicized.
And that's another piece of information that you have on the table in front of you now. It came in after the packets, so it gives you the certified tax rate that's been approved by the state, and you'll have to address that, okay?
That's all I have. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Next item, buildings and grounds, Mr. Lyons.
I think all of you have the minutes of our last meeting in front of you. I need a motion to approve, well, I'll make a motion to approve the Tennessee Civil War Trails marker and sign that's already in place.
Have a motion made by Mr. Lyons to approve the sign. However, of course, there's a new sign that's coming. You have on the table in front of you the verbiage that's been amended by the state historian, and that'll be the sign that you're approving. Is there a second? Second by Mr. McQueen. Any discussion? Proceed with the vote. All those in favor of accepting this sign as submitted, respond by aye. Those opposed, nay. Reveal the vote.
22 ayes, 0 no. Motion carries.
Okay. Next item.
I'd like to put in form of a motion to reject option 1 and 2 that was presented by Radiant Science pertaining to the old jail, and send that back to the stakeholders meeting for further discussion, and to take the first step in the jail in terms of deconstruction.
Mr. Lyons, could you go ahead and clarify once again that motion? I'm sorry.
Yes, sir. Fast, I guess. Make a motion to reject option 1 and 2 that was presented by Radiant Sykes to the Building and Grounds Committee.
Okay.
Send the Radiant Sykes back to the stakeholders meeting and come up with a step 1 deconstruction cost.
Second.
Okay, and that was seconded by Commissioner Ward. And again, just to make certain I'm clear on that, a motion to reject both option 1 and 2 is presented by Radiant Sykes, send them back to the stakeholders, and ask them to come up with step 1 of deconstruction. Is that correct?
Cost of step 1. Yes, sir. That's correct.
Okay, seconded by Ward. Is that what you understand? Any discussion? The question that I have with that, of course, I wasn't at that meeting, but I did listen to the audio. You had two different plans, one that required the building of a stairwell / elevator on the outside of the building going to the second floor. That was option 2 at about $4.3 million. And then the other one is to build it without that elevator in that area. Courtrooms up top, reconstruction below. Deconstruction, so you're wanting them to come up with a deconstruction plan.
Yes, sir. What we did, Mr. Mayor, was we had a lot of discussion around both options. The first option was like 4.2. I have it back there. I should draw it up here with me. Mr. Ward, do you have that? 4.3 million for the option 1. And then 2.6 million for option 2. The committee felt like this was way out of line in terms of what step we need to take, and we didn't want to make the same mistake that was with no stones cast, Mr. Peters, for the rest of you. We didn't want to make the mistake of approving the 4.3 million. We were also in the middle of the process of the budget. Well, the 2.6 million, we felt like go back and do a step 1, which would be to begin the process to deconstruct and then go from there.
Okay, I'm clear on that now. Thanks, sir. Any other discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, go ahead and proceed with the vote. Reveal the vote. Okay, so it'll go back to Radiant Sykes to prepare the step 1 deconstruction plan. Captain Smith, are you going to contact them and notify them of that? Okay, thank you.
Just one point, if I could, Mayor. We did have the sheriff present that night. We also had Captain Smith and Deputy Chief Ferris was also there, and we had Mr. Peters and Mr. Lewis off the budget committee that was in attendance. So it was a real good discussion. It wasn't just killing anything. It was, I think, using pretty good sense and taking it back and starting over with that cost. Move forward.
Yes, sir. Next item.
We've had a gentleman, Kim Richardson, who has been to Building and Grounds for the last 2 meetings. Mr. Richardson approached, first of all, the is interested in buying the space within the side of the
Mr. Lyons,
complex.
Mr. Lyons, I'm sorry. I think I faded off on you. Did we actually take the vote on that one? We took the vote? I'm sorry.
22-0.
Okay, go ahead, sir.
This is on the workforce development. Mr. Richardson, through Mr. Campbell, had contacted me. I put him on the agenda for the last 2 meetings of Building and Grounds. He has an interest in purchasing property out of the workforce development location, which is within the leased area. That was researched by our attorney, and that option could not be pursued unless the Carter County tomorrow group would want to pursue that. So, that being, you help me, Mr. Harden, if I get kind of sideways.
Well, even if they did, it would still have to be auctioned.
So, Mr. Richardson backed off of that option. But he did mention a second option, which was he's very interested in the land that the school board owns, or the Department of Education owns, Dr. Ward. And so what Mr. Richardson was asked to do was to come back to our Building and Grounds Committee and hopefully invite you to be there as well, Dr. Ward. Along with the mayor, we'll be at that meeting. And maybe even our attorney may need to be at that meeting. But, you know, in the discussion, to be quite frank with you, Mr. Richardson, he approached us to begin with, but then he was leaving I thought, as the chairman, a state of emotion that I wanted to try to do good business with him from the county standpoint. So I asked him 3 times if he would be willing to come back, Dr. Ward, and just discuss his request or his interest is what I'm saying, his interest with that property. And so I'm hoping that he will come back. I don't want to get into the nuances of what was said, who said this, and what was done. But anyway, I felt it was good business to bring the businessman back, to let him have an opportunity to pursue that second request.
And Ray, just so you're aware, and the whole committee's aware, the school board has actually asked me to get in contact with Royston Auction to consider selling that property. Anything we sell has to be sold at auction, that's just state law. So they are looking into that. He will be coming to the next school board meeting to kind of give them, you know, his ins and outs of the auction and how we can set it up. So I'm sure now that they're aware, they'd be glad to kind of let this gentleman know when the auction is definite and all the details of that as well.
Excellent, very good. They're ahead of us, Mr. Campbell, and the rest of the committee. Thank you, Chris, for that information. Let's see, financial man, you want me to move on?
Yes, sir.
Mayor,
You're in control.
That's
Go
all
right
I
ahead.
have to build a new grounds at this point. Moving on to financial management, I need a motion to approve amendment number 2 to the health services agreement for the jail. That may have been what the resolution was about. I'm not sure if it was or not. It wasn't. This is a totally different matter that you have in your packet. It's approving the health services for the jail. Is that correct? So I'll make that in form of a motion.
Is there a second? Second from Ms. Culler. Any discussion on Amendment 2 of the Health Services Contract with Jail Medical? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, proceed with the vote. All those in favor, respond with aye. Those opposed, nay.
One ayes, one no.
Motion passes. Next item.
Need a motion to approve the Appalachia Business Communication lease for the clerk's office. It's in your packet. Motion, Ms. Deeds.
Motion made by Dietz. Discussion?
I've got a question, Mr. Chair.
Yes, sir.
I wasn't at the meeting, so it's more of one of clarification. Is there a reason that we selected the longer lease term versus the 48 month?
This was up to the clerk's office. They made that call. They have a copier now, and I believe it's with the same company. And that copier's by all means served its purpose, and it's very hard to make your commission packets. I know for Miss Patsy, it freezes up. So as far as the details of why they chose this specific contract, I'm not sure. I don't know if Patsy, if you were involved enough to have any, it may just be what they presented, they were happy with it, and so that's, what they went with.
It's not a lot of money, but again, it's taxpayer money. It's just that if you went for 48, obviously you can pay it off sooner, and be of the nature of shorter lease, I think it would save around a little over $100. I was just curious if there was a reason, maybe the service contract went longer, or they wanted to make it congruent or something like that. I wasn't there.
I'm not aware of any specific logic behind it. Like I said, that was something done through the clerk's office, but if I was guessing, I would just assume this is the terms they presented and Mary's office was comfortable with it, would be my best guess.
Any other
That was really no
discussion
answer, I'm sorry.
or questions? Seeing none, with the motion being duly made and seconded, Madam Clerk, proceed with, Deets. Oh, he did not. I thought he made the motion. Oh, okay, I'm sorry. Seconded by Color. Apologize. Okay, now, proceed with the vote. Reveal the vote.
22 ayes, 0 no, motion carries.
I think that's all I have, unless the committee members on these committee have questions, comments. Pardon? Oh, yeah. Could I make an announcement, Mayor?
Yes, sir, absolutely.
The Financial Management Committee will not meet in July to try to save taxpayers money. We have no urgent matters that I'm aware of. Ms. Burke?
I think that'd be fine.
Okay, so that means we can. Thank you.
Okay.
That's all I have, Mayor.
If there's any other cancellations, please pass those along to the clerk's office so she can take care of that in the advertisements, okay?
That's all I have.
Thank you. Education Committee, Mr. Von Cannon, what do you have for us, sir?
First of all, I'd like to say that never use a word that you can't spell. Therefore, I retract the word obnoxious because I don't have.
Maybe that means right. Just a little.
And if our gentleman that was scheduled to speak at the Education Committee did not show, he said he had something more important to do, so he didn't show. But I would like to comment in basis of education concerning the piece of land that the school board owns. Obviously, we can't do anything probably about that piece of land because it was voted before you guys came on, the new group came on, to buy that piece of land to build a school that would basically take the place of kindergarten and Valley Forge, or at least some combination of that. I am serious in looking at the future. That piece of land is up for auction with a minimum bid of $250,000. That would make an excellent joint, city-county Department of Education buildings. Because look at the other two. The city in a very antiquated building, and naturally the county built Butterfield in the city. So I just threw that out because I know it'll never happen, but the thing is, it should be considered. Consolidation should be considered, but as I said, when that was mentioned 5 years ago, when you've got a Warrior and a Highlander and a United Ranger, the chances of consolidating are about zero. Senator Crow is not in our district, but he's been been recognized as being one of the big supporters of education in the state of Minnesota. I think if you look at the record of Coastal, who is our man, you'll find that he also has a very decent voting record in favor of education. And without that, he's left. You history buffs, Samuel P. Carter. The sign out here says the P stands for Powhatan. Not so. His middle name was Berry. Powhatan was his code name. Taylor Carter, in commenting about the young lady, she can help you big time with tourism. I can see it now. All the people that have walked the Appalachian Trail come here for a reunion. Spend money. That's all I have. And by the way, I have been told that I was the most obnoxious commissioner here. I accept that.
Give me credit for telling.
I leave it to my classmates.
Where is the sheriff? Sheriff left. I don't blame him. If I could, I would as well. But we've got his officers back here. From now on, I think you guys, when these terms start flying across the room, one at the other, just come on in, open the gate, get them by the arm, and escort them out. Right, Mr. Meehan?
Yeah.
Okay, it's good. That's good. That man right there. It's wonderful. Thank you, Mr. Von Cannon, for accepting that you're a very obnoxious person. Okay, now let's move on. Health and welfare. Mr. Tim, I hope that you're not obnoxious tonight. Never ever consider. Yeah. It's
Health and welfare, the only item that we brought before old business was the drug-free workplace. Our intention was to bring that to the full commission for a vote to either move forward or whatever your wishes would be. But there was some issues that came up with the possible litigations. So we have tasked our county attorney to go out and look at that before we bring it to the full commission. And he has been in communication with Ms. Miller and Dr. Bishop. And when we meet next month, I don't know if we're meeting next month because Monday falls on July the 4th. So we can discuss that with the standing committees, but I doubt that will happen in July unless we reschedule it. But we will bring that to the full commission when after the county attorney looks at that, at the possible legal ramifications of drug-free workplace. Any questions? No? The only other issue that I would like to talk to ACUP just to give a quick update on the EMS task force, if you would please.
Sure. We have a meeting this Thursday. Hopefully we'll be here in the courtroom at 6. And probably will last no longer than an hour. We're getting very close to finishing. We'll hopefully have our report back to you by August as promised.
Thank you. Any questions for Dr. ACUP on the EMS task force? Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Holden. We appreciate all your work on this project. Highway Committee, Mr. Hill.
Thank you, sir. Highway Committee at the last meeting, we first of all had voted, because our meeting for the month of July would fall on the 4th, we voted to cancel completely because the bulk of my committee actually serves on tourism task force, which is the 4th Monday, and that's the only week that we generally used for our backup. So we're going to push everything forward to August 1st. the issues we were dealing with are basically some neighborhood problems that are ongoing. We did approve the consolidated, the list, if you will, of requirements for road adoption and bridge dedications, and presented those to the Rules and Bylaws Committee the next night to add to the comprehensive commissioner packet. We appointed Dr. Acuff to fill out the rest of the vice chairmanship of the committee, because it occurred to me that Commissioner Gobble had been our previous vice chairman, and we've been vice chairmanless for a couple of months. And finally, I brought up the Butler Bridge, or not Butler, the Blevins Bridge, rather, on the railroad grade road. The layer of asphalt is complete on the bridge at this time. Is that right? The reports I got, yeah. I brought up that I thought it would be appropriate to do sort of a ribbon cutting of sorts, and perhaps to put up some kind of dedication placard, not as, to the degree of certainly the Civil War deal, but something that gives a little bit of the history about the bridge, and then the modern history where our highway department jacked it out of the park, knocked the cover off the ball, and saved us a bunch of money and made the improvements to the bridge. And Commissioner Von Cannon is our resource. He actually knows the whole story of the bridge, so he's bringing that to the meeting, and I'm looking into some options for potentially having the rack fabricated by one of the vocational programs in the schools. And that's all I have for you. Any road issues, please come to the next highway committee on August the 1st. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
Spelling error, management, it's spelled management. And you've got a problem with the last line of old business is a little historical. So that's, I assume you have to change that for this.
This is a draft, so once you approve that, then we change it.
I didn't write this.
Landfill Committee. Ms. Dietz.
Long Jim writes the minutes for the highway.
Officer.
I'll make sure it's correct for posterity.
I can see that it's going to get rough here before the end of the night. Go ahead, Ms. Dietz.
Well, I just want to encourage you to read the minutes from June committee meeting. Commissioner Hill presents very good minutes. So everything's right there for you to read. But the important thing in the minutes is in 6 or 7 years, our landfill is going to be topped off. And we've started discussing and trying to gather information from the state on how we will establish a new landfill or develop a plan for the citizens to dispose of the household waste. And this is an important step for us. We're moving ahead with this. We can't wait because it takes several years in order to establish a new landfill. And we will not be meeting in July.
Okay.
Anyone have any questions? If you do, Benny's here, he'll answer.
One thing I would mention, that's the demolition landfill, it's not the household landfill. We currently take our household trash to Blackville, so this will be the demolition part of the landfill that we're operating.
Thank you, Ms. Dietz.
I'm not sure your time too, but my tip.
Hey, I'll put you down.
Mr. Hill, there's.
This one.
So I guess we're going to have to do a whole lot of proofreading going forward before we submit the draft. Law enforcement.
Nothing new this time, sir.
Thank you. 10, nominating committee, Mr. Trivett.
Mr. Chairman, I still have opening for director, park record board in the
first and the 8th, if y'all get somebody to get in those positions, Willie, Doc, or somebody, Mr. Carroll, Cody. And also, I understood when we had our opening on the audit report, and we had applications come in, is that correct?
Yes. Did that today?
We got it stated, I don't know who it was.
Don't know who it is?
I wasn't
We can't vote on them tonight.
We did have, no, sir. We'll do that in July. I did have a gentleman come by the office just before this meeting, picked up one for the 8th as far as Park and Rec's concerned. So if you have one for the audit plus.
Just the audit is on.
Okay.
As far as I know.
Great. So at least there's progress. There for a while, I thought that nobody wanted anything to do with the government. Went on for weeks, months, and now there's hope.
We'll take care of that in July.
Okay. Next item, Parks and Rec.
Parks and Rec,
Rules and bylaws.
Parks and Recs has a spelling error.
Parks, okay.
Burning, that should be Herndon. Dr. Herndon was a noted ornithologist. That is spelled.
Okay. Rules and bylaws. There's nothing rules and bylaws.
not this month.
Okay. With that, are there any other committee reports that we've overlooked? Mr. Trivett, nominating committee, will it meet, budget will meet, correct?
We'll meet with,
Budget.
same as the budget meeting.
Okay.
We'll meet in July.
And now, is that the only subcommittee that's going to meet?
As far as I know, we shouldn't have anything to do in budget because we won't have a budget to revise and we can't change our budget that we present to commission to vote on because we've already submitted that.
So really,
So there, I don't know, I mean, if there's something to do, that's fine, I'm just not sure what we would have to do.
Budget, meet this again. So is the nominating.
Mr. Jenkins.
We'll say rules and bylaws, health and welfare, you guys.
So basically, no subcommittee meetings, and Park and Rec also, I think they're in August, is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay,
We're actually meeting up at State Park.
in August. There will be no subcommittee meetings as we understand it now, Madam Clerk. Now, County Attorney report. Mr. Harden, we didn't think we'd ever get to you tonight.
I submit a written report that's included in the minutes each month. If you all want me to read it, I don't mind to, but if you don't, I won't. You know, whatever y'all want to do. But I do submit a written report that goes in the minutes each month. Mr. Campbell would rather I didn't, so I'm not going to.
Okay. Is that the wish of the commission? Mr. Campbell's made the motion, second by Mr. Hill. All those in favor? Respond with aye.
You don't want to hear me talk? That's fine.
They don't want to hear him talk. Let's go ahead and put it on the board, folks. Let's see the result. How many do not want to hear the county attorney? Short and sweet, right?
It took longer to do this than I should have just read it.
Yeah. Reveal the vote. Nobody wants to hear the county attorney. 16 ayes. Okay, with that, commissioner comments. Mr. Lyons.
This is something I forgot while I was getting the building and ground report. We have a gentleman that's wanting to donate, a piece of property. It's a piece of property that's located on your left right before you get to Mallard Cove. I do not have the address, Mayor. And I brought this up in the Building and Grounds Committee. They made a motion to have me to go back and tell the gentleman that the county did have an interest in that property. I talked with him Friday, and he is still very much willing to talk with us. Zero cost. You know, we want to be careful in terms of, I guess, taking on something where we're going to spend a lot of money. What I suggest is the Building and Grounds and any other commissioner between now and August tried to take a trip up and just look at the property. The gentleman said that he would be glad to go with Building and Grounds and make a site visit and answer any questions that we had about the property. He does have a development in the, this is the entrance into his development going back to the lake. He was raised in Carter County. He's been very successful. And his intent is to try to give something back to the county. And he was referred to me from Mr. Holtz, Commissioner Holtz. So I've been discussing with him what the interest of the committee has been, and told him that we would like to just make a site visit and come back to the committee, and maybe have him at the committee to answer any questions in terms of this property. It's in a real good, ideal location, I think, in terms of access to the lake, maybe closer to Butler. So those are maybe some creative things, just thinking out of the box that we could do. But I certainly didn't want to turn it down until we took the steps to meet this gentleman, and also to talk with him about what his intent was for the property. His only request at this point was he would like nothing to go on there that's going to take away from his development, which is understandable, I think. But beyond that, he even told me Friday morning that if this house that's sitting on it, I think it's a 3-bedroom house, wood boarding over house. He said that he would be willing, and he had the means to go about helping us demolition that house if we wanted to. As long as we can get a burn permit, where that comes from. And, but it sounds like something we need to just be slow with, but also take a look at. So maybe in August we can schedule a site visit for the Building and Grounds, or any of the rest of it that would like to. I think it'd be wonderful to go up there. He's going to be on site with us. He'll answer questions. But it's an opportunity for us to try to get some property that's going to be given freely to the county. I forgot to mention this, Mayor, when I was giving my Building and Grounds report. Thank you.
Any other commissioner comments? Mr. McQueen.
Just briefly, I know this, we won't really take any action on this tonight. Something I think we need to look at, though, is establishing a minimum for what we're doing with our directors. I think we took a first step in that, what's required by federal law, and have done that, and everyone took part in it. I'm basically advocating on behalf of Mr. Gary Smith because of as we sit here and enjoy our liberties and our ability to assemble and vote on behalf of our constituents, he has things going on that he has to be checking his phone. He's got to be worried about our well-being. He knows things right now that none of us are even permitted to know. So he's literally the guy that takes the 3 a.m. call. I don't think it's the president. It's a guy like Gary Smith, who's an emergency manager, who's directing and letting people know where to go. I understand it's tough times and a lot of things, but if we're going to set that standard, I think we should set it universally and fairly, and it'll be revisited next month.
Okay. Any other, Mr. Acuff?
I'll be very brief. As Commissioner Campbell said, I had to be. I just felt compelled to talk a little bit about health insurance. Yes, several of us did go out and talk with county employees about what health insurance they would like to have. And yes, it was a 13.5% increase in health insurance dollars that we had to spend versus an 8.06% increase. But cost isn't the only thing that you need to worry about when you look at health care insurance. For many of you, you may know that the Nashville Healthcare Council contains probably the largest body of health care organizations and institutions in the United States. In fact, it's been said that about 85% of every healthcare dollar flows through Nashville, Tennessee. They have a group that they work with down there, the Nashville Healthcare Council does, called Revive Health. And every year they do surveys of physicians and hospitals of healthcare providers, insurance companies. So I brought one of those reports tonight, made in 2014 by Revive Health Group, and they talked about the worst players in 2014. And this comes from the hospital side of the house. Best and worst overall payers. About 42% of hospital leaders said United Healthcare was the worst at dealing with hospitals. The best overall player, Blue Cross Blue Shield. The most trustworthy player in dealing with hospitals and how they negotiate contracts was Cigna, followed by Blue Cross Blue Shield, the last United Healthcare. Paying hospital claims promptly, that's a very important issue. If you have a county employee, for instance, that goes and they can't get their bill settled on time, many times the hospital will ask them to pay a portion of that until they receive the health care insurance. So the organization that pays hospital claims promptly, top of the list, Blue Cross Blue Shield. United Healthcare is the last. I'll not give you or bore you with what they did with the physicians as well, but essentially the same survey was sent out to physicians asking who physicians would like to work with most if they were dealing with a healthcare provider. Well, you guessed it, Blue Cross Blue Shield. Who pays their claims promptly? Blue Cross Blue Shield. So there's more to consider than costs. It also reminds you, as I brought up during our budget discussions as we were debating this issue, that United Healthcare is pulling out of the ACA, the Affordable Care Act. They lost more than $1 billion last year. As a result of being in the Affordable Care Act, or the exchange system, Blue Cross Blue Shield only made $6 million in the last budget round. So there's a lot of jockeying that goes on. The other thing that you've got to keep in mind, if you've got dissatisfied hospitals and dissatisfied physicians who you're carrying a particularly low-rated, if you will, health insurance company, they're not going to be happy to see you walking through their doors. Likewise, I think we made the right decision, at least it was in my mind, that we went with Blue Cross Blue Shield based on industry statistics. And I think, again, it should be that we are concerned about more than money when we take care of our county employees. Yes, Commissioner?
Mr. Acuff.
Yes, sir.
I'd like to mention something here along the line of insurance. You know, we had this economic development board and stuff, we're all joined. And I'm not so certain if we couldn't get all these counties together around here to get a pool on insurance. And I think if we done that, we could get a lot lower rate. Maybe 5 or 6 counties around, have meetings with them. And I know Christine's in front of that.
Well, Ronnie, I'm not against it. I don't know that that's legal. I don't know that it's not. That's something we'd have to look into with our broker and make sure that there's nothing saying you can't do that. There may be, there may not be, but we can check.
I think that we need to have a pool of insurance, have one broker to go around, or have a broker, and go to these different counties, and everybody participate in it, and it would be a better deal.
Now, if that's allowed, and like I said, I'd be glad to make sure. The one thing you have to think about is if you do a pool, you're gonna have to agree with whatever county you go with on what benefits you're offering. And I could see where that could get to be an issue, but like I said, if you wanna look into it, I'd be glad to lay the groundwork and see if it's a possibility.
But I know insurance is gonna keep going up, so we're going to have to do something.
So if any of you would like a copy of these surveys from Revive Health, I'd be pleased to provide.
Thank you, Commissioner Acuff. Are there any other, Commissioner Caller?
I'd just like to remind everybody you have a copy of the budget for July. You should look at it.
Mr. Ward?
We would like to ask the commission to consider employee picnic. You know, we talked about it. I don't know if it's legal or not. I'd like to ask the opinion of the lawyer. But we would like to entertain the thought of it because our employees do deserve a day of recognition. But that's just, you know, an issue we'd like to bring forward before and see if the commission considers.
Well, I did look at that. The issue is not the statutory conflict provisions. The issue is the ethics policy that the county adopted back in 2007. And a literal reading of that policy would pretty much prohibit a county employee taking a piece of chewing gum from somebody. I mean, that's basically a literal reading of that policy.
So if the sheriff's department or any of the other departments are doing that currently, are they in violation?
It's, the way it reads is that you can't accept directly or indirectly any gift, money, gratuity, or other consideration or favor of any kind from anyone other than the county. So the bottom line is the county can certainly set aside monies and pay for, you know, employee appreciation day and buy all the food, definitely. But if it's not coming from the county, then technically it would be in violation of this policy. Now, someone had mentioned maybe the idea of a potluck or something where everybody just brings a dish, and, you know, maybe something creative like that could work. Or, you know, but just a straight out, somebody buying all the food and showing up and having a county appreciation day. I mean, I hate to say that, but it would violate, in my opinion, our ethics policy.
Ms. Byrd, I think that she wants to speak just a moment.
Sonia, actually, you touched on what I wanted to say. I just want to remind everybody, there's a copy of all the budgets on your desk. Please look at it, call me if you have questions. I'd be glad to go over anything, and that way we'll be prepared and ready to vote next month.
Any other commissioner comments? Chair will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion we adjourn, Mr. Chairman.
Second? Mr. Jenkins, all those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Good evening.